All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Couch Potato Sports Show. It is me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio here on our Sunday morning slash afternoon tradition that has been going on for 15 years. It is the Couch Potato Sports Show, and the Couch Potato Sports Show today being brought to you by Mint Mobile. Folks, if you need the service, if you have a cell phone and it's just getting out of whack, get on over. And I'm going to tell you, I got myself some Mint Mobile right here. Get yourself on over to Mint Mobile, $15 a month. And now I know people are underneath contracts for their phones, but if you are not underneath contract for your phone, this $15 a month is not bad at all. I'd like to thank them as we're beginning to work with a little bit of a relationship with Mint Mobile here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. Now, that being said, of course, that's the name of this show. There's been lots of things that have been going on in the sports world since last time we were on. We were on 2 weeks ago. But lots of things that people have seen, had on their side. But I'm going to go ahead and bring him on in because he is. There he is choking, and he loves to choke out Mr. Wobble. But that being said, of course, that's the name of this show. I kind of like this one better. Kind of puts it out there. By the way, I like your new shirt. The radio. Yeah, I do like that. Stand up a little bit. I mean, show it off. Let's see it here. I mean, I like it. Stand up. There we go. Yeah, I like that. That's good stuff.
Shout out my boy Mark Mitchell. He made my last shirt. He made this one as well. And me and him, and we know each other since we were 10 years old. Went to grade school together, junior high school. So he's a big Redskin fan. So obviously he's a little pissed about the Commanders.
Why is he pissed off at the Commanders? They've been making move after move after move here to get ready for the 2024 season. What's his problem?
He's an old school guy, and he likes the old name better.
He likes the old name.
And I don't blame him. I mean, we're all kind of like that too. So.
Yeah, some people like it, some don't. Some have a different opinion on it. I don't give a rip, whether you want to call them Commanders or Redskins. I guess that's a personal thing, but at the same time, I don't care. But I am actually glad you're here. God, wait, I just said that. I am actually glad you're here because there is some news that I want to talk about today.
Okay.
And I want to get your opinion. I mean, now granted, you're 10 years younger than me. I think you're 47.
No, I turned 49 next week.
Okay, all right. So 49. Your birthday's coming up. Happy birthday if I don't get to it or see you. Good, congratulations. All right. And the big news, okay. But I actually wanted to talk about this. Earlier in this week, there's some big news that have happened. And the big news in reality comes from the fact that we had O.J. Simpson pass away. I have not had the opportunity to catch your show on Thursday. If you talked about it, I don't know if you did. But you touched on it a little bit.
A little bit.
Well, I want to get a little bit more into this because I think there's something that I think you can bring to this that most people can't. So I want to start out here real quick and find out what you think about the situation. You go back. I mean, oh my gosh, this was 30 years ago. Okay, 30 years ago, when this whole thing went down, O.J. Simpson and the killing of his ex-wife and Ronald Goldman. So I want to just get your take up on immediately what your overall look at this is before the passing of O.J. Simpson.
Well, it's funny because when he did die, as you know, I keep track of celebrity deaths on my other Facebook
Yes,
account.
you do.
And for what he had done, I'd put NFL legend, actor, other things. And because the other things stands out, right? I mean, because, the did he or did he not? He did. He never, I've been watching a lot of stuff on him since, people who interview him after the fact. And he always came across as someone who didn't get it. Like we all know, a lot of us consider the fact that he's guilty as hell. And he was tried in a situation to where they already had a riot in LA for the Rodney King thing. LA cannot afford another one. And if you watched all the OJ series that have come out and everything else, it was definitely a race war going on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
At the time.
the Black America used OJ, who was nothing more than white America. He was the blackest white American person you'd have out there because he appealed to him. He was all happy, happy, nice, go lucky type, whatever. And he carved a certain way of his life for that. So to all of a sudden have the Johnny Cochrans of the world go into his house and take down the Nicole Brown Simpson pictures and put up the first wife pictures, and to do all the things that was done to make this a race thing. That's the biggest crime out of all this, because here's the thing: the killer of those two individuals has still never been brought to justice, even though we all OJ did spend some time in jail for something else. I mean, we never got a clear cut idea of justice being served in the situation because of the race situation. That sucks. That really does suck.
Let me just interrupt. If there was a verdict of him guilty, would that have put the rest of this situation in your eyes, or no?
Well, I mean, if he was found guilty, who knows what would happen to LA at that time? I mean, there's no telling. It's one of those things. Like, I'm glad nothing bad happened to the city, but I'm saddened at the fact that the person who, let's face it, had every sign in the world saying that he did it,
Except the thing on his forehead that said, "I did it."
Right. Well, I mean, the guy even wrote a book saying, "If I did it."
Yes, exactly.
He even did an interview of saying, "This is how I think it's conceived that I might have done this," and talked about it in great length.
Yeah.
And
Pretty embarrassing if you think about it.
Bad thing is, he was in a situation to where, because he was found innocent of this whole thing, right? So had he come out and said, "No, I did it," you couldn't try him.
Mm-hmm.
Double jeopardy. So you couldn't try him. So he had nothing to lose. Now, what gets me is that years later, he goes and tries to reclaim some of his stuff from a collector or whatever, and ends up going
Las
to jail
Vegas.
he sits in jail for 33 years. He gets out in 10. So he spent some time behind bars, but not nearly enough to where, it was going to be, substantial for the Goldman family or the Brown family to like, because apparently, according to the Goldman family, he still owes like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh yeah,
because of interest and everything else. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, that you say that, man, sometimes I am just so bright. Take a look at this. This is what's going on. O.J. Simpson is fighting still beyond the grave. According to his lawyers, I mean, he is focusing on keeping money out of the hands of families, specifically the Goldmans. Okay. And this attorney here, is putting it out to where everybody can see it. And I kind of wonder if that was up underneath orders in case something happened. So they hit, that being from OJ himself, to put it out there and let them know that he's doing everything possible to keep the money out of the pockets of the family of Ronald Goldman. And it's interesting that, I mean, and we didn't get together before. By the way, are you okay?
No.
I was going to say, sound like you passed a kidney stone here. No,
it's not. It's not a kidney stone. No, okay. I went to the back doctor a couple days ago. I've not been able to walk for I could walk for a little bit, but not for a good amount of time. And my job kind of requires me to do that. So I went to the back doctor, find out what's going on. They x-rayed my back, and they said, "Well, you don't really have a C4 and a C5 vertebrae in your neck anymore. It's disintegrated down to next to nothing. Your hip is disjointed from your back. So your left side is a 5 millimeters smaller than your right side. So you have all this built-in crap going on there. You got bone spurs all over your back.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, I don't know how the hell you're able to walk into my office right now. I'm like, I'm a miracle. I mean,
You're an
embrace it.
enigma, man. You're an
Embrace
enigma.
this. Here I am.
Well,
But
before we came on, I was waiting. I came on like 5 minutes early. You weren't
I was
there,
thinking,
and
I was,
I heard a scream in the back. I heard a scream, and I don't know what. That's why I thought maybe you passed a kidney stone or something because it was loud and it was proud.
no. I did have to
But
pee though. No, but no.
yeah,
No, it's one of those things. I'm on light duty for the next 30 days. I have therapy 3 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and they're going to try to get my hip back to where it needs to go, and then we'll go from there and see what happens.
I got my fingers crossed for you, my man. I got my fingers crossed.
But I will say this though, it did not stop me last night from
I was going to feed into that, and then we'll get back to the OJ thing. How did everything go last night?
It was fine. It was fine. Me and Sir Mo were doing commentary with that commentary ended up being more about him directing stuff backstage, and so we left the commentary alone. I'll just do commentary on the back end of that. But I did music, tried commentary, and then Branch had a match with Chris Irvin. Chris Irvin did not show last night, so as Luke Justice got out of the ring, he called out Branch. Branch went to the ring, and then whatever we had originally planned for Chris Irvin, we used on Luke and got him, knocked him out, hit him with a roll of quarters, and sure enough, I was able to go to the ringside and stand there and direct traffic like I normally do, and got a little physical with Luke, but it's all good. Didn't hurt from that at all. But it's a adrenaline thing, right? But it was a good night. X gave a great showing against Dante Smiley. X is a young rookie who's coming up. He had a shot to be tested by Dante Smiley. Dante, of course, got the better hand of him, but again, it was a good showing. A very packed house at the CrossFit Temple. I told Sir Mo, I said, this has got old school MPX vibes going on here. For those who don't know about MPX is a wrestling promotion out of Bedford, Texas. They used to run out of a gym, the Metroflex gym, and they were always packed.
Are they still in business?
Yeah. They have their own building over there off over there in Bedford now, but they got to pay rent, so they have to keep a show going every week. But no, they the vibe last night, we had standing room only, which was great. People were having to stand up there by where the weight stuff was, which was awesome.
CrossFit Templum, right?
Yeah, right. And I was like, I looked over Bobby. I was like, this has got some old school MPX vibes. I think you can really run this. Like, I really like this venue. And now he might find another place here down the road. I know in June SOAR has 3 shows that month. I got 1 show in Carrollton, 1 show in Cookeville, Tennessee, and then another one over there at the soccer place that we did SOAR Mania at over there across from the Dallas Lodge. Yep. So they're doing a lot of stuff there. So clearly they're on the up and in. And also I heard that we have a big specials. I can't announce them here right now, but we have a big special guy. Two special guys coming in to do the Summer Spectacular show on commentary. And I won't be doing commentary with them because I'll be managing that night. But definitely it's going to be awesome to have big names call our matches. So, bigger than me.
Do we know who they are, or do you know and you just can't say?
I know who they are. I just can't say it out loud.
10-4. Gotcha. I'll get that information from you later. But
okay,
so yeah, look out for me. Just give me the back. Anyway, want to get back to the OJ thing, okay? Because it was really
Okay.
interesting what has ended up happening, and I just want to kind of dive into it a little bit.
Okay.
Go ahead. Looks like you got something on your mind.
No.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, I mean,
I did.
I mean, the big question is like we all ask, where were you when JFK was shot? Where were you when 9/11 happened? Where were you when the O.J. Simpson police chase took place?
I watched every minute of it. When as soon as and the funny thing that happened, I had just sat down. It was early in the afternoon, and I had just sat down and I heard about uh, the prosecutor saying now he is wanted for questioning in the thing. So he came out and he said it, and I just was watching TV, and they kept coming in and out of it, and then before you know it, there's the Bronco. So I watched the whole thing. That's how much of a life I had, which was none. Still
Everybody had
none.
95 million people watched that thing. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
I sat and I watched the whole thing. And interestingly enough, following journalists, the journalists that actually had that, and taking the world kind of by storm in reality. The gentleman who was doing the filming is actually now is a transgendered person, a transgendered female. And so it was interestingly enough, how all that kind of, yep, it was.
right.
Yeah, good to see you, Richard. I don't see you enough, my friend. I see you on your posts and stuff like that. So it's good to see Richard Sullivan checking in. But I really found that really interesting. The whole thing on how everything is set up, and I watched it, and over the time, depending on when you grew up, okay. So I was on the cutting edge. Kennedy was shot like months before I was born, so I kind of caught on the end of that because I was a little boy, didn't know jack about it until I started growing up and learning. But this one's kind of like what it said, the trial of the century, and this one I'm in the middle of. So I've read books, I've seen everything, and the OJ Simpson documentary on ESPN is the best one that's out there. So
Very
guys,
true.
if you are going to watch one, get onto the ESPN Plus and watch the OJ Simpson. It's in a 5-part thing, and I've watched him from beginning to end. The first one's just a reflection on who he was. Really, to get to the meat of that story, starts in episode 2 and then takes you to 2, 3, and 4, and then 5 is responses. So it's a very, very well made document as far as video is
Documentary. Yeah.
concerned, documentary. And so so that's the best one out. But interestingly enough, let me ask you this, because it's going to lead into kind of where I'm going, and you have no clue, which is kind of awesome. So after you found out about this, before and now after, now before, what did you think of him as an athlete, or do you know much of him as an athlete, or just what you heard about who he is, or knowing what he has done and you got a good impression on who he is?
I knew OJ was a big time running back in the NFL. I knew that much. I never got to watch him play.
Right.
Um, my actual first getting to know who OJ Simpson was from a little HBO show called First and 10,
Mm-hmm.
where he played TD Parker. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. I do. I
Um,
remember it.
yeah, and I love the show. The show was cheesy. It was corny. I love the show, and it was like a rated R sitcom. And here's OJ being a big part of it, right? And he was a very likable guy. Loved him in the Naked Gun movies. And I remember I was at Dallas Cowboys took on the Chicago Bears. This is when Dallas got the living shit kicked out of them in 1985, 44-0. And
Right.
I remember that came well too. Well, it rings. I mean, on the football field, I'm sitting there in the front row of the 20-yard line on the visitor side. And I see OJ walking across the on the field. Me and my buddy, we yelled out OJ's name. He turned back and looked at us and waved at us. I'm going, sweet, because I saw him from the first thing.
Very personable from what I've heard, even,
Yeah.
walking down the street.
So no clue about his home life, no clue about who he was as a human being. We just know the TV persona because Naked Gun movies came out. He was Nordberg. He was funny as hell.
Yep.
Having Leslie Nielsen feed into him was brilliant. So I mean, clearly you have all. I mean, I find it funny that he was originally picked to be the Terminator. He was going to be,
Interestingly enough, I did not know that.
yeah. He was originally James Cameron originally casted him to be. Yeah, that's that. Once
That's
again, we're
huge.
now. Yeah,
Forget about 16 when it was being done on not regular basis, but more of a basis. But he was like, if I'm not mistaken, he was the first one with the 2000 within the 14 games.
yeah. I mean, I didn't know anything about his college life. I knew nothing about his home life, none of that crap. But just the persona that we had was OJ, and the name OJ said enough. We know who OJ was. You
Mm-hmm.
know. So fast forward to 1994, I guess it was. Um,
1994.
I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, on vacation, and news trickles down that Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman had been killed, and word is they're talking to OJ about it. And I'm like, really? And because again, I know the name.
Mm-hmm.
So as time went on, the NBA finals were going on. The Houston Rockets were taking on the New York Knicks. Not that I was watching that, but it was on our TV, and we had like a little bitty small little 8-inch TV screen in the trailer that
Mm-hmm.
we were camping in. And then, sure enough, the night happened where we were sitting in the trailer. We're all watching the police chase. We got the game on one little box, and then the chase on the other one.
Yep.
And you think about what all changed after that entire thing. How much the media changed after that one night.
Oh, good point.
I mean, Greta Van
Mm-hmm.
says, so what's her name? She became a household name. Not that I know what her last
Marsha
name is.
Clark. Mm-hmm.
Marsha Clark, obviously. Johnny Cochran. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's so Judge Ito. I mean, so much came out of that entire, but that's just the case. The night itself, it brought on all these lawyers shows where they were talking. I mean, it basically created law. The Law Channel, whatever. I mean, it pretty much started all that crap. And I remember I was watching the ABC feed of it, and as the car is parked in at the house, and a caller calls in. Now he calls in like, "Hello there. This is Mr. Higgins. I see OJ. OJ be slouching down inside his car like he want to kill himself. And Baba Booey to you all." And I'm like, holy shit, Howard Stern got a part of this whole thing. How awesome is that?
How'd he do
And
that? He's amazing.
it wasn't Howard though, because it was one of his callers, Captain
Yeah.
James, right? So now at the time, Howard was on terrestrial radio, and he was on the radio station Wave 104 in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Right.
So I got to hear him the next day say, "Holy shit, we got a chance to be a part of the OJ thing. How awesome is that?" But I remember that entire thing. That's where Peter Jennings, who did not understand any of that crap, he's like, "Well, we just heard from Mr. Higgins, and he's watching what's going on." And Al Michaels chimes in. He's going, Peter, this is Al Michaels. Apparently that was a farcical phone call. I didn't believe that was a real phone call. It's from a radio personality. Yeah, because of OJ, we got the Kardashians. Thank you, OJ.
Absolutely.
Thank you, OJ.
Yeah. Appreciate that. But
Well,
now,
you brought someone once in a while
interestingly
right
enough,
there.
I kind of thinking about it, and I knew O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson was a badass. You can't even really question that as far as what he did out on the football field. And now here we are, 30 years later, after what people think about an O.J. Simpson and what's going on, and I find it very interesting. And Richard, I'm glad you're here, because I'm going to play something that is really an interesting thing. This I stole it from, yeah, and Stephen A need to get a hold of me. He can, but I stole this little brief thing. It's a minute. I want you to watch this now. Those that don't know, Carl Douglas, he was part of dream team in reality, if they called it, of attorneys. He was kind of a person who wasn't up in front, but he was in the back. But everybody knows who Carl Douglas is, and he was on Stephen A's show. And I'm going to put this up here because I found it very interesting on what he said. So let's do this. I want to bring it right in. Here we go.
The prosecution failed in their burden not to prove whether OJ was guilty or innocent. They failed in their burden to prove him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, not by a preponderance of the evidence, but beyond a reasonable doubt. And another thing, Stephen A., I say, no matter what you or how you fall on the guilt or innocence scale, I will go to my grave believing that the Los Angeles Police Department and members of that department did something with the evidence to convict someone whom they thought was guilty. I'm a civil libertarian, my brother. And if the police can put their fingers on the scale to help convict O.J. Simpson, then none of us are safe.
It's an interesting thing that he said there, and I watched the whole thing. By the way, if you get the opportunity to watch that, okay, you got a guy that's still alive, still young enough, and he was just getting into his prime, but I found it really interesting about what he said, that the prosecution did not prove beyond reasonable doubt and all this stuff. And I found that very interesting how he said that, because frankly, that's not even really the case. I mean, if you know the history, and this goes back to, if you want to find out the guilt or innocence of O.J. Simpson and how it happened, you need to watch the one on ESPN. I think it's called O.J. Inside America, because you could sit there and watch all 5 episodes. You can see all the history on O.J. Simpson's and what was going on, what it was all about. But Podfather, this is what it was all about.
Do you think that they're members of the jury that voted to acquit O.J. because of Rodney King?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
How many of you think felt that way?
Oh, probably 90% of us.
90%? Did you feel that way?
Yes.
That was payback.
Uh-huh.
You think that's right?
And I want to tell you, it's very enlightening and I picked that out not because I wanted to see. We will never know the answer to the question on what that jury would have been if it would have been one that did not have the influence of the Rodney King, right? I mean, say whatever you want about the Rodney King, they got away with that. I mean, and that was really one of the first times where you seen video of cops doing the crap that they get accused of, and they all walked scot-free. And so coming back to payback, that's what she said. If you watch, this was payback. So we'll never have a untainted opinion from a jury regarding the evidence, watching all of it. Now we can all sit there and say we watched every minute of it. You'd be liars. Okay, the trial went on for 9 months, if I'm not mistaken. You didn't have time to sit there and watch 40 hours a week for 9 months. People got jobs. So that being said, I find it really interesting the way that she presented that. And her last name is Bess. I forgot her first name, but her last name is Bess. And what she's talking about is the influence of the jury, which, by the way, was predominantly black, by the way, in case folks that did not know. So you kind of see how the whole thing. So everything that we watched, the hours that we watched, you're reviewing and everything else, watching the shows and the documentary comes down to almost 1 minute just coming from her, because of what that verdict was simple payback. I mean, good, bad, or indifferent, that's just what it was.
Well, think of it this way. What if Nicole Brown Simpson was black?
Interestingly enough.
What if Ron Goldman was black?
Mm-hmm.
We'll be having this conversation. Or would OJ be in jail?
flip the role reversal, of everything.
Um,
If OJ was white, and that happened.
but here's the thing. Now that was 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Society has changed a little since then, not much, but
A little.
people are gonna have their doubts. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you know, the LA Police Department at that time was under some intense scrutiny because of Rodney King. You
Mm-hmm.
had what's his name, Mark Furman, who
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily a saint. He did things that led the defense to sit there and go, "We got something here. Let's make this about him and not about OJ."
You could question his character.
Yeah, and the prosecution, for some reason, never brought up the police chase. I mean, he had in his vehicle, he had a disguise, money, a weapon,
Mm-hmm.
and he was
And
trying.
they
He was
say
trying.
he was going to kill himself. They say he was going
Yeah.
to.
So, but none of that was ever brought up. None of that was ever an issue. And I'm like, that is a dropping of the ball to the highest order. Now, don't get me wrong. In OJ's camp, he had Johnny Cochran, Robert Shapiro. Both of them are dead, by the way, I believe. F. Lee Bailey, he's dead too.
Mm-hmm.
F. Lee Bailey really fed the race thing big time. I mean, he went really into it.
Well, he was the originator of it to take it to where
right,
the extent that it went to.
And him and Johnny Cochran not like each other at all. But they knew this was the
Mhm.
only. They threw every curveball they could to make sure OJ knew he was going to get out this whole thing. And
let me ask you this: do you think they knew if they did not do this, this guy's ass was sunk?
there was too much evidence. There was too much evidence saying OJ was this person.
Yep.
He had domestic violence on his record. He had records of 911 calls from Nicole, the police chase. He didn't really have a great alibi of where he was at when the time of the murder. And Kato Caitlin, who was his roommate, clearly says now he was guilty. So, and who the hell knew what was up with Kato? But I mean, that was a thing back then. The fact that we know who the fuck Kato Caitlin is really a crime. I mean, that should be prosecuted. But I mean, look, his death, OJ's death, brings us all back 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
Alive, because we all knew who we were. We all knew our stance. We all knew the jokes. We all knew everything about what was going. I had this nice little legal pad from Myrtle Beach, right? I used to store in my trailer. It was all the things OJ was writing down while he was sitting in court, and they're all comedy stuff, right?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of things like that.
Like, I'm beginning to think I'm guilty. What the hell? I mean, just stuff like that, right? And like grocery list, gloves that don't fit, knife. I mean, just stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Well, Richard, hey, let me hop in there. Richard, was it really? Did it come down to the gloves? I think it would have if it was a fair trial in reality, with the jury being the way, not being what we just saw in the video from juror number 9. Juror number 9 just said, we let him go. This is retaliation. But if that wasn't the situation, it would have come down to the gloves, because Christopher Darden, in his wonderful wisdom, after being told by Marsha Clark and the other gentleman not to do this, and he went ahead and did it, and there was no choice at that matter. However, this is what I think should have happened. Marsha Clark should have said, Judge, we need a minute here. And the judge would have gave it to him, by the way. The judge was doing anything and everything to help each side to do what they were going to do. He would have said, we need to take a break. And Marsha Clark should have went to Christopher Darden going, are you out of your goddamn mind? I'm not the brightest guy in the world, okay? But here's what I know. Not what I think I know, but what I know. After you have leather sitting in any kind of moisture, whether it's blood, water, or what, that thing's going to shrink down when it evaporates and goes to nothing. So we all knew that that was going to, and the fact that they didn't know that, or if they did and they just did it anyway, because we'll never know the answer to that question too. But I'm telling you right now, if it was a free jury, I think it does come down to the gloves, because just as Johnny Cochran said, if the glove don't fit, you got to acquit, because that was the main portion of what they were saying.
If you
about
remember,
that.
if you remember correctly, around that time when OJ was incarcerated because of the whole thing, he couldn't take his meds for arthritis either.
Mhm.
So his hands ballooned up.
Yep.
So when he went to go put the glove up, he's all of us do it. Okay. I mean, like when I got to put rubber gloves on up at work, when I got to pick up something off the ground, I'm doing the whole, I didn't do it. So I mean, you have
okay. And then you always have that 2 or 3 inches extra on the end of the fingers.
right. I'm like, look. But here's the thing though. What gets me is that, and I've heard stories about this, that when the police contacted OJ when he was in Chicago, remember there was no real big cell phones, and there was no social media at the time. When they got a hold of OJ in Chicago when he had just landed there that night of the killing, and they asked OJ, or they told OJ about Nicole and Ron's death, OJ had no remorse. He didn't ask, "Oh my God, how did this happen?" He was like, he went in a completely different direction. I can't remember what he actually said, but he went in a completely different direction, as in, okay, that should bring up a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're right, Richard.
So I'm like, after the fact, like I said, he could have came out before he died and said, "Yeah, I did it. Can't try me. I mean, you could try to bring up other little things on me, but you really can't try me." Now, he had that civil lawsuit that he lost to the Goldmans and the Browns, that out of the millions of dollars he should have been paying, he's only paid over $100,000. Because they couldn't touch his NFL pension, they couldn't touch his Social Security. So him making deals with whatever he was doing. I mean, think about this. He was relatively blacklisted out of society, out of the whole thing. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do anything. How he made any money after that is beyond me.
Yes.
But he would do a Twitter thing where he would do sports picks, and he always, he legitimately had that look like, man, you're not going to believe the kind of shit that happened to me 30 years ago. Man, I'll tell you what. But that was
I saw some of those interviews afterwards, like at radio stations. Now, back in the day, they were able or didn't know how to publish the video from there, but they had the video exist. So now that has made its way out to YouTube and stuff, and you can see in his face, man, he's got that shit-eating grin on his face through the whole thing, because you knew he did it, and just kind of put it out there. Now, that being said, think about fame and fortune. The guy runs for 2,000 yards, right? 2,000 yards in a 14-game season. This guy, beloved and everything, now hated because of the situation, because everybody knows. I mean, his blood was all, by the way, in case anybody don't know, his blood was all over the crime scene. So, here he is. Hall of Fame was still, and then I like that. So now I want you to keep that in mind. I'm just going to do something really quick here for 33 seconds. I'm going to get with our sponsor here really quick, Mint Mobile. But I want you to keep in mind what you do a lot. And I'm going to ask an opinion on something else in the Podfather segment. I'm just saying we'll be right back here in 30 seconds.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Big Wireless has once again raised their prices. In response, we're bringing back our deflation promotion. The marketing department asked me to be as explicit as possible when explaining it. So here we go. Because we don't love f***ing our customers over like Big Wireless. We're bringing back our offer for unlimited premium wireless for only $15 a month. Me to the moon and back. That's a great deal. Explicit enough marketing.
By the way, I love the commercial. I love it. And I got the service. They switched it over. Podfather, last time I switched from service to service to service, I always had problems. Not just one time, but 2 times. Every time I did it, I probably switched to 4 different carriers. Didn't have a problem. Smooth right into it. Guys, Mint Mobile 15. It's unlimited up to 60 gigs. And then after that, it goes in there. I don't know too many people use 60 unless they live on their phones. So if you're not a guy that needs all that gigage, you really need to look at that. So let me tell you what happened. I paid the $45 and the fee, okay, right? And then I got the wonderful email says your next bill's due in August, 3 months from now, and it was $120 for the whole year. Folks, I just got done paying $165 for I don't have to pay another bill until August 2025. Okay, guys? That's what I'm saying. If you're anything like me, I get on the phones. Don't get me wrong, but I don't live on them, and I understand that. But still, you get a lot of gigage in that amount. So, $15 a month. So, all right, now in the segment of I'm just saying, this is for Trey Mack. I put this together for Trey Mack. Go back just really quick. Superstar, Heisman Trophy, all that stuff. Murderer now, he's gone. Kind of reminds you of somebody that you know of there, Podfather. I don't know if you thought about thinking about this, but you think about what the similarities in reality, obviously outside of the fact that there was no Bronco chase or anything else, but just a little bit different as far as that portion is concerned. But still, think about the stable, because everybody thinks if that this whole thing that did not happen as far as the murdering of his family and the suicide of him, that we would be talking about a guy who's in the Hall of Fame. And, it's amazing how these things just kind of, go to about the same amount, right? I mean, you can kind of see the comparison. What a spectacular athlete kills his family, same thinking, but OJ lived through it, obviously. So, it's afterwards. So it's a little different, but what do you think about the comparisons? Kind of right there, isn't it?
There is no comparison.
There is no comparison. Why is that?
Comparison.
I know why, but
because OJ killed those 2 people and ran and got away with it. Chris was trapped.
Yeah.
And he fucked up and he killed himself in the process. So, and the thing is,
Willie, let me just hop in. I don't want to get past that part because I'm not going to remember it. Do you think that the reasoning of that is that the difference is, he knew he fucked up? Okay, and O.J. Simpson a little bit different. It's kind of a little, a little of the same. O.J. fled to Chicago. He just killed himself. He knew that he messed up. So did O.J. He had to figure out an alibi, but the difference is he did take his life. But what do you when you look at those comparisons? I mean, I think they're close proximity because of the athlete in the ring, the athlete on the field kills his family. He just happened to kill himself. And I've seen all of the conspiracies on Chris Benoit's and this whole thing. I want to get your personal take up on the Chris Benoit situation. What happened? Did he actually kill himself? Is there a conspiracy? Did someone else do all this? What's your take?
Oh, Chris did this. No, there's no other evidence points anywhere else. People can speculate. Hey, Kevin Sullivan may have been involved. Yeah. Chris did have CT. He had when they did an an autopsy on him. They found that he had the brain of an 85-year-old man with dementia.
Yeah, interestingly enough.
Now, because of that, that doesn't excuse what he did. It does not excuse anything what he did. He never got help. He could. Difference between O.J. Simpson and Chris Benoit stops on one thing with me. Okay. If you go up to anybody on the street and ask, "Do you know who Chris Benoit is?" Chances are they're probably not going to know the name.
Right. Unless you're really into wrestling.
Because wrestling is a very niche thing. You ask anybody, do you know the name OJ? Yeah. And that
That's a
brings up all
good
sorts of
point.
things. It brings up
I
everything.
mean, because all the publicity and happenings
because
in
but
the trial of the
brings
century thing.
but here's the thing: you bring up OJ, you don't think about the 2,000 yards in 14 games. You don't think about the Bills and the Niners. You don't think about the UFC days. You don't even think about the movies. You think about one thing, and that is the murder of his wife and Ron Goldman.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that whether he did it or not, and whether you believe it or not, it don't matter. That's what you think about when you think about his name. Chris Benoit, there's still some wrestling purists out there, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I think. That sit there and go, God, Chris Benoit is such a great athlete. Great athletes and great performers are two different things.
That's a good point.
And great athlete, I mean, and I watched this last night with one guy that I'll not mention his name. He does a move where he uses his head as a battering ram.
Right.
And I told the promoter who's sitting next to me, say, I fucking hate that move because it does nothing to help anybody, and he's not doing it the right way. So, and the fact that Chris night after night after night, remember they had a 300-day schedule. This is not the same WWE that it is today.
They work 3 to 4 times a week every week, sometimes 5.
Sometimes 6. He was jumping off the top rope, battering his head into his opponent's this area right here. Okay? To make it look like a headbutt, he hit him right here. These things were built by steroids for a lot of those guys. That's like hitting a brick wall. Mm-hmm. So he's doing that night after night after night after night after night. He wrestled at such a fast, impactful pace that you lose track of the fact that he was killing himself.
Right.
Now, he was still somehow able to do his thing in the ring night after night after night. OJ couldn't run no more. Okay?
Good point. Mm-hmm.
So there's a difference. Now, OJ was already in the Hall of Fame. By the way, anybody think it's kind of weird that OJ's Heisman bust is still up there in the Heisman Trophy Center or whatever, but Reggie Bush's isn't?
I first of all, I did not necessarily know his was still there. So I'm going to take you at your word. If that is fact, that is totally makes no sense to me.
Right. So I think we're talking about two different types of people when it comes to this, and
two different types of indiscretions too.
Yeah, and I mean, and then again, OJ. Well, let's say he did it like he says he wrote a book about.
He did it.
Yeah, sure, but I'm saying he was found innocent, so you have to go on that whole thing. Yeah. But let's say he killed the two people. For 30 years, he walked away and laughed about it.
Absolutely.
Chris Benoit killed his wife, killed his kid, and killed himself.
That goes with, think about that. And that goes with the mental part. Like you said, he fucked up and then he knew it. And then the guilt started rolling through him. Then add up on the fact of the CTE. Then add on top of the drugs and all the other stuff that drove him to probably end up doing what he did.
I don't think steroids have anything to do with it, though. Because steroids is a way to help you rebound. It's not there to make you have, psychotic episodes. And
well, hold on. You're incorrect about that.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Haven't you ever heard of steroid rage? I mean, that's just not a phrase that's out there. That's not there.
I've heard of roid rage. Yeah, that's done if you're doing it incorrectly. Okay, if you're just injecting yourself, constantly. Those guys know how to cycle stuff left and right. They know how to keep a balanced thing with their mentality. Chris,
we're just going to agree to disagree on that part.
Sure. I mean, once again. Between the two of us, who was the athlete?
Right.
And between the two of us, who took steroids? I did. So I can tell you straight out, I never had.
You don't think that I was an athlete?
No, I'm messing with you. I don't know if you were or not. But
Oh, yeah.
clearly, when it comes to betting, you're a welcher because you won't die this thing.
I haven't done it yet. That doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. So, matter of fact, that's actually coming here within the month. I got it all set. I just got to get it all set, but that's coming.
Yeah,
but anyway, get off of that part because but no, I was an athlete. So that's the part that you don't understand.
Well, you know what I'm saying. I mean, well, look, you know, I don't have.
You were an athlete longer than I was after high school. You went into it. I was done after high school. But
listen, I don't have any objections to people who take steroids, HGH, and all that stuff.
Me neither.
If you use it responsibly,
mm-hmm.
and if you do it in a way to where it's going to help you rebound, not to sit there and just build up strength. And
fully agree. Said on this show, I think steroids should be part of every recuperating thing after you do, under supervision. I've always said.
But now, do I think you should take steroids to hit baseballs? No. Do I think you should? Do I think you should, be the home run champ and have 700, home runs and have steroids be a big part of that? No, because there is a natural thing on that. I mean, when Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris, all those guys are hitting home runs today, chances are they weren't doing all that crap. Okay,
probably not.
So,
if anything, it was alcohol induced.
Right, and if you're a Babe Ruth, it was all about the hot dogs. So, hot dogs and hookers. So, I mean, it was all kind of his whole thing. Look, you don't ban like in professional wrestling. It's a big thing. Don't take steroids in professional wrestling. Well, you don't tell Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone don't take steroids for your movie. They just do.
Yep. Yes.
What's the difference? I mean, professional wrestling is an athletic skill, but it's not a sport. It's not a sport as far as keeping records that actually matter. Okay,
mm-hmm.
It is a performance. It is an art. It's like going to the movies.
Okay? Fully agree.
So if you got a guy who is big and jacked up and everything, maybe you take him aside and say, "What's your cycle? What you doing? How can we make sure that this doesn't have any long-term effects on you mentally?" Because it doesn't. I mean, any drug does anything that will do anything to jack with your head. There are several drugs out there that are just aspirin that can lead you to suicide.
Right.
Because you always hear the little precaution. Make sure you it's like said really fast, and like they have to make sure they get it in the commercial like within the next 10 seconds. They
agree
all the down things, and you go. By the way, during the football season, that's always the best time when you hear about erectile dysfunction, and they sit there and go, "We can make you big and hard, no problem at all." And all of a sudden, this might cause something like that,
right?
Yeah, you're going, and this is where women will sit there and go, "We win. We got to do this shit. We're gonna win. You guys got small dicks now." So and the guy's in there going, buy me some of this shit. No, but look, it is what it is, and I don't think there's any comparison to O.J. Simpson and Crispin Law. Both are tragedies. One, that's the only comparison you could really make out of the whole thing. Both are tragic figures on their own accord for what they did, and I don't feel sorry for O.J. I don't feel sorry for Crispin Law. Crispin Law should never go into any Hall of Fame. And the fact that O.J. Simpson won the Hall of Fame beforehand, that happens. I mean, you can't stop him. I mean, you can't sit there and say, "All right, congratulations, you're a Hall of Famer. By the way, if you decide to kill your wife and a waiter, we're going to probably take this away from you. But, just in the meantime, no."
Yeah. So, well, I was purely looking at it as what they did in the ring and on the field. Magnificent Hall of Fame careers, because obviously if this did not happen with Chris Benoit, he would be in the Hall of Fame without question, right? I mean, or do you think?
Well, I mean, they've had worse people in the Hall of Fame, so I'm sure he'd get in.
This is true. True.
I mean, Coco Beware, so.
Yeah. Coco
I mean,
beware. I agree. There's some that need to be in there.
I love
By the way, why
I,
is Demolition not in the Hall of Fame?
because Bill Eadie had a lawsuit against the WWE back when Vince ran the company, and Vince will never put a guy who's suing the company into the Hall of Fame.
Gotcha.
And now that Triple H has taken over the reins and doing a remarkable job of putting together a new era, I think things are going to change. You can't put everybody in the Hall of Fame 1 year, though. You can't make good on that. Look, Billy Jack Kane is not in the Hall of Fame, and let's face it, he's probably going to go to jail. It's probably a good reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame, But you have to look at it like this, You put in this past year, you put in Paul Heyman, rightfully deserved. You're in Philadelphia, his home area. Get it?
Of course.
You put in Bill Nakano, who's your woman. You put a tag team, which was the U.S. Express, which had the Bray Wyatt connection there. You put Muhammad Ali, kind of your celebrity, but had a major contribution to pro wrestling. Then, of course, for The Rock's sake, you put in his grandmother. So you already had your Hall of Fame already kind of set this year. I think going forward, I think they're going to do away with the outdoor stadiums in the Northeast around that time of year.
God, I mean, that was just the dumbest thing. I think we've even talked about it on this show, how stupid that is.
I mean, night one, the crowd was so cold, and just I think it took a lot out of the show. I mean, the show was great. Don't get me wrong, both days were great. Now, night two was better than night one, but I mean, I think everybody came to do what they did. Not every match was a home run, but I think the night one, it getting down to the 40s and it getting really cold and all that stuff in the crowd. There's not they're not ready for football yet. All those Eagle fans, but I mean they were definitely 7 matches is not bad. It's not like what AEW does in having 40 matches in one night, but definitely it was a factor for sure. But again, they pulled it off. They had record, as every other show they say, we got record-setting things here, this and that. But I think they're gonna keep the WrestleMania at that point more towards the West Coast, maybe the Southeast, if anything, down in the Tampa area.
Or keep them in a dome. I don't understand why they're doing this outside. And okay. I'm obviously a novice. I'm not in the business. I don't know the big business part of it, but there are many indoor stadiums that have 70 to 80,000 people that can fit in those stadiums and still get the same results as far as attendance is concerned, than Philadelphia in an outdoor stadium. It just makes no sense.
But I'll say this, WrestleMania 31 took place in the new San Francisco 49ers Stadium.
Yes.
Okay? When you watch that show, it has a different feel to it because it was outdoors. When I went to WrestleMania 9, that was the first ever outdoor arena they had for
Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that had a different feel than any other WrestleMania. So
that was Caesar's Palace, wasn't it?
It
was.
Yeah. So and I was there. It was cool, but I mean,
oh God, that's right. You're in the city.
yeah, I was there.
By the way, I found myself in WrestleMania 26. Where they were coming, I never seen it before, but I saw, it was the back of my head, but I knew exactly where it was sitting.
But here's the thing: if you go back to say WrestleMania 13, or actually WrestleMania 11, 12, 13, 14, 15,
all
16.
indoor big stadiums.
No, all those were arenas. Now.
Oh, that's right. They did that at Madison Square there too.
Well, no, WrestleMania 10, the Square Garden ones, that has a different feel because of the entrance areas.
Of course.
WrestleManias 11 through 16 were all arena shows, and they all looked the same. WrestleMania 17 was in the Astrodome, indoors, obviously, but it had a different feel, had a different look. WrestleMania 18 had a different look with it being out in Canada than WrestleMania 19 in Seattle. So you start getting into the different feels of what these things look like. And visually, that's what you're going for. How can I make this WrestleMania look different than last year's WrestleMania? And I don't mind the outdoor stadiums if it's in a climate control area that you're not going to deal with a real lot of rain. I say that knowing the fact that when the 2020 came around, or 2021 actually, they're going to have it at the stadium in Tampa, and it rained.
Mhm.
Well, we can't stop the rain, but it is what it is because you're booking this thing in advance. You're praying to God that the Lord up above is saying, okay, well,
Exactly.
this, but you never know. I mean, once again, look at the Super Bowls, right? I mean, when they're played outdoors, if it rains, they still go on because they have to, unless there's lightning in the area. So it's a different feel, it's a different look, and is it great? I mean, it when the arena is the story of the event, you didn't do a good job booking the event.
Mhm.
That's why WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2 were so great because the storyline was so great going in, and most everybody's matches had a reason why they had a match there. And you got some great action, you got some duds, and the Jay and Jimmy match wasn't all that great, but I mean, people were expecting Brett and Owen. They're not Brett and Owen. I got news for them.
No,
So,
they're total different styles. You're right
but
about that.
But they know how to wrestle. They can't wrestle each other. That's a problem.
And it looked like they had a couple of bad botches in it as well,
Maybe
which
so.
you would think within the time they would be able to do that because they have probably did that in practice and things like that.
But
So
you're
you would
talking
think that would be
70,000
better.
people. You're talking nerves. You're talking
And at 50 degrees, all that in play.
yeah.
Completely get it.
Yeah. So I mean, you're asking these professionals to suck it up and do the right thing, right? But I mean, sometimes life gets the better of you.
I only seen only one bad match in the whole WrestleMania. Only one bad. If you count Jay and the Usos, if you count that, then it would be two. I actually just kind of enjoyed the idea of what the match was, probably more so than the quality of the match. So, but I'm still trying to get around this Jade Cardell situation, and the fact I didn't hear it. Not that I was paying attention neither, but I guess they were yelling at her that she can't wrestle. I think she needs more training. I think they brought her up still too early here, as far as that is concerned.
But here's the thing, though. They're being smart about her, though. They're not feeding her to the lions also quick.
I get it.
They're spoon feeding her. They're spoon feeding her little by little, and her name is too big to put in NXT right now. This is why you don't put AJ Styles down there in NXT because he's got a name and his value does not need to be. People like Bobby Roode and people like that, we all knew who they were, but the WWE audience may not know who they were very well.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Cargill, I mean, she's part of that whole Tony Khan mess that's up there in AEW, and I mean a mess that's up there.
It is a mess.
And the whole CM Punk nonsense. By the way, they can Tony Khan can he ought to write CM Punk a check because think about this: he was a part of professional wrestling programs from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday because they did the footage of the fight between him and Jack Perry, which was nothing more than, hey, we're doing this for a ratings grab, see if anybody want to watch what we're going to do. But it had no real actual purpose, and that just showed that this guy, Tony Khan, is a fucking joke. And you know what?
Let me ask you about it. All right, because hold on. I want to ask you about it.
Cut me off, man. What you cut me off for? What?
I'm going to cut you off because I want to get to this part of it. I watched the video. Obviously, there's no audio to the video, right? No audio to the video, except the only audio you were getting is CM Punk kind of directing, and then they put the bit. Now,
yeah,
I watched the video, and and I'm going to give you my obviously unintelligent opinion about what I think I saw there, and then I want you to hop onto it. I saw CM Punk walk up, say something to Perry. Is that his name, Perry?
Yeah, Jack Perry.
Yeah. and said something, and he was fine with it. Then CM Punk continued, and then it got into a get out of my face. I'm not even listening to you now because you're just running off of the mouth because you're kind of used to doing it. And I'm done with you. Get the hell out of my face. I'm going to put this, and I think I'm in the minority. I'm putting this on CM Punk.
Let me ask you a question. Do you not like CM Punk?
No, I love CM Punk.
Okay. This is my thing.
Matter of fact, that CM Punk when the championship when he was there, I watched that a lot because I like it.
Okay. This is my thing. You cannot read what they're saying on camera.
Correct.
You can't read their lips. You can't hear them.
But he came up to Perry first, so
he came up to Perry because Perry had just come from a match. He was up next, so they had to meet each other eventually, right? So they had words with each other. They've clearly had issues with each other from backstage. Questions were asked. Things got blown up, and of course, we saw what we saw. But the thing is that I want to see how Tony Khan was frightened for his life, and the reason why he had to fire CM Punk, because I didn't see that there in the video at all.
Not in the video.
Not in the video. Now, explain to me how you felt threatened by CM Punk, who apparently is a model employee, damn near employee of the month at WWE right now.
Over in WWE.
Yeah, WWE, because I mean, who is like, you want to talk about a 180 from a guy who
fully agree.
From a guy who's had a huge chip on his shoulder to a guy who just happened to be part of the ball club. I mean, it is night and day to how he is, and I think the fact that Triple H acknowledges the fact that, look, a lot of the change we've had here in the locker room is because of him. We changed a lot of things that we do in the locker room because what's going on. Even he said, look, I want to come back to WrestleMania, but, doctors are telling me no. They would have told me that years ago. They said, get out of here, Z-Pack, go out there and do your thing. But here, it's a different ballgame.
Heard that. And
here's the thing. WWE has got so many stars.
Yes.
That they don't need CM Punk. But CM Punk, in a weird kind of way, he needs them. But I think CM Punk is being brought in right there now to be the guy that succeeds Shawn Michaels in NXT. Because I think what he's going to do for those young kids down there in Florida, not that I think he wants to live in Florida, but I mean, I think what he wants to do is really help groom those guys and help them get their personalities over. Because the wrestling part, that's all, they're going to teach them all that shit as well. But it's all about getting the character over. And I think that's where he can really succeed with that because he's got the promo skills. He has,
right,
and he was taught, and he learned a lot of stuff from Dusty as well. So clearly, he's in the right fit for his age, for his talents, for everything that he's ever been a part of. AEW is a circus show, and is a shit show of the highest order. It is let's go get the matches that the niche crowd want to see, the 5 or 6 people want to see. And hope to God we make money off it. They don't make money. Think about what WrestleMania did this past weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much money do you think the WWE made off WrestleMania weekend?
I watched I watched the press conference in both of them, and I still don't think they got all the numbers correct based upon it being just right afterwards. All the other monies that are brought in and figured and tabulated afterwards, it's got to be at least 40 to 50% more than what they are saying in the press conference. That would be my guess.
How much money do you think AEW makes off a pay-per-view?
No clue. Probably not much because I've been hearing they don't make a lot of money up on it.
I mean, they're about ready to lose their sponsor rights, or their network rights, because you think Warner Brothers in the business of losing money?
Oh, absolutely not.
They lose enough in their movie division. Think they're going to waste on a wrestling show that's not drawing any attention?
It's a good point.
So once AEW gets knocked off the Warner Brothers channel or TNT and whatever else, TBS, you can kiss AEW goodbye because Tony Khan doesn't have the wrestling wisdom to keep a program going like TNA has done for so many years.
Right.
TNA has found their way to barely having a network, but still finding ways to thrive one way or the other, and being
I came close to actually subscribing that because I love the old TNA stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, they have a resurgence on Pluto TV. If you've not seen any of the stuff that they've done, go back on there and watch some of their older stuff.
Oh, but 9,000 commercials. I know what you're talking. 9,000 commercials. I'm sick of that. But yeah,
but there are people who can sit there. If you buy the premium Pluto thing, you get past all the commercials. But who's going to do that, right? But no, look, I think AEW was brought to us that this is a different alternative. Right. You know what? I agree with Triple H. If this is a place where maybe you've been here before and you don't want to deal with the grind anymore and you want to sit home and have more home time and you want to do this, fine. You got a place to work. Be Edge. Be Bryan Danielson. Be those guys who, quite frankly, we don't have a place for you here.
And quite frankly, they're not even interesting to watch anymore right now.
No, because, again, nobody gives a shit. Look, I love Edge and Christian. I love them to death. I mean, as far as competitors and performers in the ring, they're great. But I've seen that. And you're not going to show me anything that's going to make them. I mean, look, hey, I like AJ Styles, okay? I want to see him and Cody Rhodes go at it. I want to see him and CM Punk go at it. I want to see those kind of matches.
He wants to retire, I heard.
Well, yeah, I mean, his body is telling him it's almost time to end this thing.
Yep.
I'm sure he will. I'd be willing to bet you that when he retires, he'll still be a part because this business is a sickness for all of us who've been in the ring. Okay, I deal with it. I'm here. I am with the disjointed hip and a really bad back and no neck at all. I'm still putting my shit out there, I'm still doing my thing out there. I'm not in the ring, but I'm still contributing one way or the other. And the thing is, I can see AJ Styles, taking on kind of a producer, maybe maybe an NXT kind of guy or whatever to help out those kids, because this they're doing a good thing about growing the business. AEW is not growing the business. They're going, hey, let's go to New Japan and take this guy that no one's ever heard of. Let's go over to this guy and take this guy that no one's ever heard of. Hey, well, Ospreay is available and he wants a limited schedule. No problem. Let's take him over here. Great. Give him a place to work. Fine. Pay him a lot of money, all you want. But what's their worth going to be like when the biggest show that happens once a year, twice that weekend happens, and they're not on it?
Yeah.
Because they all in. It's not Revolution. It's not anything that it's not Dynasty. It's not all these crappy name shows that AEW's put together. If you're in this business to be a professional wrestler and make money, you want to be at WrestleMania because that is your Super Bowl. That was mine from being at WrestleMania 9. And again, when I retired and I went to WrestleMania 17, I sat there and went, this is a blown opportunity I had. I could have applied myself better back in the day. I didn't do it. And it's too late. It's too late for me now. But I know that. A lot of guys don't know that. That's the thing.
Interestingly enough, what you're talking about as far as AJ Styles, I want to talk a little bit about that because I find that story very interesting. There are rumors rolling around that he wants to go out. Who's going to be the guy that either sends him off in the sunset with a win? Because I totally disagree with you. It's someone kind of come from NXT. It can't be. I just don't think it can. I don't think those names are big enough to send AJ Styles off into the sunset. It's got to be a name. It's got to be. And you know what? It's got to be.
I'm not saying he go down there and wrestle in NXT. I mean, he'd be a coach, a mentor.
I misunderstood what you said.
No. If he has a retirement match, it'll be someone from the main roster. You're looking at maybe a Seth Rollins. Maybe you're looking at a guy that would. Not that Seth Rollins needs that big of a push. I mean, I mean, it would be a Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair type thing, where a guy who
Exactly.
AJ Styles
That's how
sword,
you get. That's how you do it, and
yeah.
show the guy the respect, whether win or lose, whatever the case may be.
So, well, for AJ, it should be a loss because everybody leaves on their back. That's just that.
Usually,
Unless you're Ric Flair and you want to have a retirement
respecting the business, yes.
But I think,
And by the way, you know who did really good about getting guys over in reality? Triple H. Amazing.
Yeah.
What he has done over the years in the ring to get guys over. He's lost many matches on at WrestleMania to give the push to the guy. After his grand entrance and everything else, you think oh God, this guy, there's no way he's going to lose, but he does. It's amazing.
But the one thing he'll have, and it's not really his fault. Maybe it is his fault. I don't know. But because he holds a win over Sting at WrestleMania, that was Sting's one WrestleMania appearance, that's held against him.
Right.
Now, it should be held against Vince McMahon that we never got Undertaker Sting, but that's another
And they had many years to get that set up, too, if they were going to actually pursue it.
They had a nice 3-year window. They could have done that.
Absolutely.
A nice 3-year window, but, it is what it is, and it'll be a what if, we'll always play it. But, but even Undertaker says, hey, look, I wish Brock didn't beat me. I wish my one loss WrestleMania would have come to Bray Wyatt because he was a phenom, and he was something that was.
I watched that. It was actually really put together really well. Plus, I always loved Bo Dallas. By the way, he's one of my favorites.
Did you cry? My question: did you cry?
No, because I would. Okay, and I'm in the minority. When I say this, I'm going to be in the minority. I didn't like Bray Wyatt. I didn't like the character. Now, however, I did like the Fiend. I thought that was really good. But the Bray Wyatt thing, I wasn't really a big fan of the Bray Wyatt. I understand why people got emotionally attached into it. I get all that, but no tears in reality. It's just not that I don't feel bad that he passed, because I do, but no tears were shed. I don't think that was the kind of character that I bought into more so than a lot of people that did.
But let me ask you a question now. Did you cry when Wyndham Rotunda died? Not Bray Wyatt. I didn't. Not Husky Harris. But
you know who? Hold on. You know who I felt sorry for was JoJo. I felt sorry for him.
Yeah, I felt bad.
I felt really bad. Now I never got the tears up on that. As far,
I felt bad for
JoJo.
Taylor. I felt bad for Taylor. Bo Dallas. I felt bad for him because. I watched that documentary, and out of everybody who was having, if you're the wife, I love that both JoJo and the first wife get along so nicely that they let the kids, that they let all four kids grow up as brother and sisters, even though they're torn by marriage or whatever. I love that. I love the fact that, watching, Mike Rotunda, talk about the love for his kid, because as again, from what I know of Mike Rotunda, he was IRS. He was a hard ass. He was one of the best workers in the ring as far as a mid-level wrestler. But
absolutely.
But to hear, so and I got the Bray Wyatt thing. I love the character. One thing that it didn't dawn on me until they showed me the video. That tell you how far it's been since I've seen this movie. When they showed a clip of Cape Fear and the De Niro character from Cape Fear, and then you mix that with Will and Mercy, and you mix that with what they were going for, I'm like, holy shit! Now I get that.
Yeah,
and it was like, now you want to go back and at least I would want to go back and watch.
I get what you're talking about.
Watch that and go, okay. Because wins and losses do not matter for Bray Wyatt. He just wanted to fuck with your head in more ways than one, and it works so well. And it gave you matches, him and Taker, him and John Cena, guys like that who could really just. I hate the fact that his last really big feud was against LA Knight, and that really shit gimmicked up match they had, where the lights were turned out and they had the lights show in the ring or whatever. I hated that, but it is what it is. That was a sponsor driven. That was a Vince McMahon sponsor driven thing. So, I don't think Triple H should play into that kind of bullshit nowadays. But it's hard to say. Money talks. Money talks, right? So,
Absolutely.
but I mean, look, I know the guys on my show, Mike, Billy, Omega, Tommy, all of them teared up during the documentary. I did not. So
I didn't either.
So
I felt bad for
so
JoJo, but I didn't give any
so
tears.
so
Now,
I'm considered heartless
being
because of it.
Bo Dallas being my guy, I kind of liked him and everything.
And I think he's coming
I
back
would have
too.
liked to see how they did the Uncle Howdy thing with him. I would have loved to see
Well,
the story of how
well,
they
I
were
think
going to
I
work
think
that
we're
out.
gonna see that here soon.
It still won't be the same.
It won't be the same, but it'll be how they write it, right? I mean, it'll be
Right.
like how they want to put how much effort they're going to put into doing this. Are they doing it for Bray? Are they doing it for Taylor? That's the big question.
No,
I mean,
they're doing it for Bray. I think Taylor is just a byproduct of what will end up happening for it.
but again, you know, Bo Dallas or what do you want to call him now? I mean, he is a hell of an athlete. And
God, yeah.
there's a lot you can get out of a hell of an athlete. He can
Mhm.
perform.
Yes, he can. No
now
question.
Now the question is, will he connect? That's the big question. Will his character
And that's
connect?
how they're going to have to work the
And
Uncle Howdy
if
thing
it
and see how
connects,
much sympathy coming from Bray that can be put onto Uncle Howdy in order for it to
right.
move on. I think.
Yeah, as long as he connects, then I think they'll be fine.
I agree. I think, and I've always been a Bo Dallas fan. So, but interesting enough, a good WrestleMania. I just like two of the matches. Outside of that, they had two nights. They had close to 18 matches. So I thought 16 were great. Or what?
No, they have 13 matches.
13 was it only 13? Holy shit!
Seven the first night, 6 the second night.
By the way, that having been said, that first one on Saturday, I guess I heard was the longest main event match in WrestleMania history.
Well, no, because you got the Iron Man match with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart that was over an hour.
Was that the main event at that one, or was it
WrestleMania 12? Yeah, at WrestleMania 12.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So what?
But the thing was,
second one,
the Rock. No, maybe the Rock, and maybe because if you include the entrances as well, it lasted over an hour. So I guess I can kind of see that because the entrances
all right,
and then the actual match itself. Which, by the way, for the Rock to go out there 12 years after he's last had a match and put on the performance that he put on and walk away pretty well with it. I mean, I think that says a lot about him.
absolutely.
The fact that he was able to get over a heel character when he is still The Rock.
Absolutely.
The fact that he found a way to draw heat the way, and he cut a few corners. Ain't gonna lie, he said a lot of things you don't say on a PG show. But
there's no question.
So I mean, again, it's a new world. It's a new thing. I remember what CM Punk was on Raw a couple weeks ago, and people were saying like, "We're not on Netflix yet, so I can't say these words yet. So just wait." So
I really like what he did in the ring. I even take away from the mic. He's great on the mic. He's probably top 3 on the mic ever, if not number 1. But that being said, The Rock could have went back and half-assed this thing and made it look good. He could have done that. So the part about The Rock that I like is that he went out there and he didn't half-ass it. He went out there, he gave the 100%, and it was noticeable because I've seen many of them come back and half-ass it, and you knew they were doing it.
But you can't half-ass it in Philadelphia. I'm sorry.
That's true too.
You can't half-ass it. And here's the thing.
Yep.
He walks out there with the Final Boss Elvis-looking jumpsuit that he's wearing. You gotta love that. You gotta love the fact that that night 2. We'd heard rumors that Cena and possibly Austin were going to show up. They're saying that Austin and WWE they couldn't meet financially together to make it work. But Undertaker was already there, and what is WrestleMania without the Undertaker? So
absolutely.
To have him arrive, it was such a great moment. And I like going on YouTube and watching like the last 10 minutes of night 2, and watching these people go absolutely batshit crazy over these moments, and they might be overacting for all I know, but I mean, it's
I
so
think
it's
the
so much
fact that
fun.
they brought those guys back, I don't think what is it about in wrestling that we always talk about the pop? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, and when you bring those guys back, and I'll be honest, I did not expect to see those guys. So that pop even made that appearance even better.
I expected Cena because I had heard Cena on Howard Stern. I heard Cena on the Tonight Show. I've heard Cena on a few other things. When he was asked, "Are you gonna be WrestleMania?" He's like, "I'm not doing that there." So
That guy needs a tan. He looks like he just got out of a bottle of glue. I swear to God, put some color on him or something
It is. You're
to
so
where I
critical.
mean
You're
because
so critical.
he looks so. Yes, I am. I am because there's still an art to it, and you got to look the part a little bit. He
But
looks
yeah,
like he just walked out of Wall
but
Street,
here's the
and
thing.
that's not. And he is not, IRS.
But
So
here's the thing. He has another life now. It's not just pro wrestling.
I don't care.
But the thing is, he can't just change his hair, or he can't change
I
his look if he's filming a movie currently looking like this
I
one.
I know. I'm just
So
saying
I'm just
he
saying.
just does not look the part anymore, and I'm sick of seeing him. And even last year, I'm glad. Yeah,
you're so angry. You're so
Austin Theory
angry.
beat him. I'm glad he beat him. I can't stand looking at him anymore.
By the way, speaking of Austin Theory, this is his last chance to really make something of this. I think putting the tag team belts with him and Grayson Waller, the belts are going to make those two guys. Now, Grayson Waller is way better than Austin Theory is right now. But I think the belts will make
Wait,
those
did
guys.
you say Grayson? Oh, no, so did you say
Listen,
Grayson Water was better than
yeah.
Austin Theory? Is that what you said?
As far as wrestling in the ring, yes. As far as connecting with the crowd, yes. I think the belts are going to make those two guys stars because Austin Theory has an it factor. He does. We haven't seen it yet, and he has unfortunately been tied into the whole. This is a Vince guy. This was.
Which by the way, I loved, and still, if they can get Theory back to where he was underneath Vince, I'll be right. I might even buy an Austin Theory shirt, and I don't buy him.
Well, but
I like him a lot. As a Vince guy.
I mean, I met the kid personally at a VIP show years ago, and good kid. Him and Randy, him and what's his name, Lance Romance were together and doing their thing. And I mean, again, great kid. I want nothing but the best for him. And I think the belts are going to help make those two guys because they're going to cheat. They're gonna do everything they can to keep those belts. They're gonna make those belts so unattainable for other people. Hopefully, if they do it right. But
that's the question.
You have to connect with the crowd as a villain, and you got to make them want to bring in the baby faces to come in there to want to take those belts from them at any means necessary. That's going to be the interesting part, and I think. Like I said, I like Waller better as far as the personality, and as far as he's got more charisma for me. Austin Theory is kind of like John Cena said about him. Look, you don't quite have the it factor to be here, and a guy who he would know because he had done that for so long. He gave him the rub. He gave him everything he could to help him get over. He still couldn't get over. So. And getting over, for me, getting over might be different from how getting over with you is. Okay, okay,
yeah. Could be.
And I'm cool with that. I mean, you can be wrong, own up to it. It's fine. But no,
I can be wrong. Got it.
No, but the thing is that those two guys with the tag titles will draw money. That's what you want to do. Unlike anything in AEW right now, no one there is drawing money. The guy you had drawing money there was MJF, and he ain't there right now. Okay? But even he drew partial money. You want big time money. You want WrestleMania money. Think of it. By the way, they didn't do it for SmackDown this week. I don't know if they did it for Raw. I liked the new presentation they had for SmackDown last week, where they had they took the Titantron down and let the arena be full. all throughout. I hope they go back.
I hated it.
You hated it?
Yeah.
Well,
because what they did is they showed a video on a 50-inch TV where no one can see it in the stadium. Now, obviously, we seen it, but as far as if I paid $200 a ticket to see it and I can't see what the hell's going on, that's what they're focusing on.
Did you pay 200? But did you pay $200? And did you pay $200 to see something on TV?
Say again.
So you pay $200 to sit in the seat so you can watch something on TV?
I'm the only one I would do it for is WrestleMania. I would not do it on Raw or SmackDown.
No, but so I don't. Your argument is because here's the thing: you can go on YouTube and catch what you missed. Real easy. If you were there to enjoy the live event and watch them, you're right there where they're coming out at, and you can actually have the opportunity to high five and whatever, and have them instead of coming down a ramp, they're at the ground level. I think that's pretty cool. That's very old school, and I think part of the production thing. I mean, they're going to have different cameras going on. They're going to have different types of settings. If you when you do the Titantron thing, every stadium looks the same. You couldn't tell what was in Dallas, Texas, or what was in St. Louis. So if you do a thing to where you have the arena look, and maybe the arena will have a different type of fill. Maybe, I don't know, because we only seen it one time, so we know what Philadelphia looks like. So maybe every time they do it, they have a different type of Madison Square Garden type feel where you're in this particular building. That'd be kind of cool. And again, you have to change the business one way or the other. The NFL is the same way. You have to change the game sometimes to make it better for everybody. And whether you like it because you're an old school guy or you don't like it because you're an old school guy, the fact is you might be in the minority for all they know.
God, I'm in the minority in most of my opinions, and I understand that.
So remember, they're trying to appeal to a mass audience, not a mass human being, but a mass audience. So I'm not with it.
This is the way I was brought up. So you might be able to relate this a little bit. Maybe. I was brought up on that old school stuff. They didn't have entrances. They had halftime didn't have music to come out, never mind that bad music that they were coming out before they decided to get it. So I'm slowly moved into the I watched it, Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher, and Pretty Boy Bobby Heenan when he was in the ring when I was a little boy compared to where I was in the 80s when they started to get the glitz and glamour of 40 years ago of WrestleMania. Hell, even WrestleMania 1 and 2, they weren't coming out to any big extravagant things. So I watched it grow into the big extravagant thing, and I want to see it grow from the big extravagant and how they would do it more so than downplaying it like they did on SmackDown or whatever show it was, and they took away from it as far as the growth of the spectacle of what it has been to where it is now, and it was a step backward per se, in my opinion.
Okay, let me ask you a question then. Let's say you went to an event that did just that. Okay, they had that same setup, and you're batshit crazy mad about it because it's not what you wanted to see. But
that's right. I wouldn't put my money at it.
But you already have. You already paid your money. You sat there. Now you're getting this. You didn't realize that was going to happen. Okay. But yet, in the meantime, you got to watch a hell of a show. Like, you had surprises. You might have had a dud match or two. That happens. But you got to have a come down match eventually. But you had what would be considered a great wrestling experience to watch the show as is. You're gonna sit there and go, "Yeah, the show sucked because there's no Titantron."
Have you forgot how petty I can be, or something?
Yes, we know. We know how.
Answer that question before you answered.
You are more hill than I am. I tell you, it's just so. Golly.
Maybe so. I don't know.
What a jerk.
Yeah, I know. Now, see, I have expectations now. Okay, now that my expectations of a show compared to somebody else is going to be totally
different.
That's
your problem. You have expectations. Quit having expectations. Just take things as they go.
If I was stupid enough to fork down $200, my expectations are high. And yes, and it may be something that someone loves, like you evidently did. I friggin' hated it. All right, so
Mhm.
we're going to walk out with two different opinions on that show based
Mhm.
upon my expectations of what I pay to see compared to the expectations of what you pay for to see. And those
Mhm.
are two different things. I love wrestling. I love the glitz. I love the glamour. I love all of it. And when one of them is missing, it's noticeable, and I did notice it, and I noticed it immediately, and I hated it.
Okay. Okay. Well, then I'll throw this at you. Okay. Because you and I have both worked at these two different places, and
Yes,
for the same company. All right. We
yes,
have done commentary at Dallas House Lodge.
right, yes,
We have done commentary at the CrossFit Temple.
hmm,
Both shows have a different feel to them.
yes,
So it comes down to a matter of what you like. Do you like the feel of this? Do you like the feel of that? Last night, I love the feel of where we were at, even though it didn't draw the huge audience that we could do at the Elks Lodge. It drew the when you have standing room only, and people are into this and they're standing up for the main
hmm,
event, and and then the people in the ring are giving those people a reason to stand.
hmm,
That's a hell of a feel that you don't
right.
always get in a controlled environment like the Elks Lodge was. Now the Elks Lodge can
Completely
get
get it.
nuts. The Elks Lodge can be batshit crazy at times too when certain
Hmm.
people come out. But
Yes, when people come out, which is good to see,
yeah,
they're actually drawing over
yeah.
there. But
But like it was funny because Gabe and Nate had this thing like, hey, no zoo animals allowed. And then Tony walks in, he sits in the front row. I'm like, hey, no zoo animals, sir. No, you must leave. So
I I find that really funny, and I am glad that Tony is the sport that he is because they've been getting on his ass pretty bad lately, and and so
but they gave him a title the last show, so
right,
he gets. By the
exactly. So
way, him and Robert Martin both were given titles by the company,
I
like
saw
actual, and they didn't bring the belts to the show last night. What kind of fan are you that they give you a belt and you don't showcase it with you when you walk in the door?
now that here
What
now
kind of shit is that?
just for people that don't know, I got to feed a little background to this, okay? Because you don't understand. All right, both of these guys. Well, I know one is a season ticket holder for the Frisco Fighters at indoor football, and they had a game last night in Frisco, and they had to give up those seats. Now, Tony is not a per se season ticket holder, but he buys the same ticket usually. So they actually gave up, you know, well, Martin did upfront money that's already paid to see to go to that show. Now, I did not know they didn't bring the belts. I don't know why they wouldn't bring the belts. I think I'd walk around the street with the belt. I
Right.
don't get it. I might have even went to the
Okay.
indoor football game the next
By the
week
way,
wearing the damn thing. So there
by the
you
way,
go.
I asked you this in our little group chat, and I didn't really. I want to spend upon this on this show because
Uh-huh.
I want to hear your reasoning for this. You love
Uh-oh.
arena football. You love arena football, right?
I love indoor football.
You love indoor football. You're not willing to give the UFL a shot.
No, I'm not interested.
So you have B level football being played at both levels.
Mm-hmm.
One's different because it's indoor and it's a different feel. It's like hockey. The other one is outdoor where you get the real actual football feel that you're getting in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna take one over the other and not watch them both and sit there and go, that's a good player. That's a good player. That guy should be in the NFL. That guy should be okay. I'm just curious. I was just curious. How you differentiate between B level talent as far as football is playing because if they were A level, they'd be in the NFL.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to know so you're asking me why I feel that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, don't
First of all, I watched.
don't I don't watch either one of them, so I don't have a dog to hunt in this one. I just curious what because you do.
Okay. All right. So that being said, we get 17 weeks of the NFL. Okay.
Well, regular season,
yeah, and then you got the playoffs, so it goes out to a total 23 weeks. Okay. Then you got college football. Okay. All right. I'm not necessarily a fan unless I have a dog in the fight, and that'd be Michigan. I watch Michigan football. I'm not interested in watching 9 college football games. Not interested in. Just I'll watch the national championship and the couple of games to get to it. I will do that. Um, the part that maybe you might understand a little bit more so than anything is my involvement with indoor football supersedes what the UFL is. All right, so I'm going to say this with all due respect to it. I'm just not interested in watching a bunch of grunts to play football in an outdoor state. I don't like outdoor stadiums. And second of all, the rules of the game are away from old school Sonny, and the rules are you can crack their heads open in the indoor game. Okay, you can knock the hell out of them. It's football at its genuine, but in obviously a smaller scale. What I'm going to say is I hate the new kickoff rule. I freaking hate it. I hate the freaking tackle from the behind. You can't do that. It's taken away from the genuality of the game. So I'm not interested in watching a bunch of guys who can't hack it on the NFL level play football. Even with more sissy rules, because I think of football as a real sport. So that's why indoor football. And then you add the fact that I called indoor football games for 9 years. Then being part of of an indoor league in the front office and the enjoyment of that. So I have more of a thing for indoor more so. Now, would I change my opinion if my experience from indoor football went to that level on the UFL? Perhaps maybe it would. But here's what I do love. 72-degree in football, and never more than 30 yards away from the action, and that's where the front row starts in any of those games. So you don't feel part of the action because you're either A, too far away, or B, and never mind the cost of going to see any of those games in one of those other stadiums. So that's just kind of the way I look at it, more so than. But no, there's not enough admittedly, there's not enough star power in the UFL for me to take time to watch outdoor football right now. I'd much rather. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'd much rather go to an indoor championship game than the Super Bowl, and I've been to them both. So it's kind of what it is.
Okay, so we learned that you can be bought. So,
I just gave it to you. Yeah.
That's fair. No, I was curious because, again, you're still talking B-level football. I mean, the stars in arena football are really, in my mind, no different than the stars in outdoor football when it comes to the B-level football part.
Sure.
But that's fair. I mean, once again, you have a dog in the hunt. Like you said, in college football, you like college ball to an extent. If you have a dog in the hunt, then you're in.
Correct.
If you never, I don't have a college team. I really don't. You
should become a horn frog, man. I'm telling you, you'd be perfect.
With TCU, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, in the back of my car, I had the TCU logo on there back when they were before they went to the Big 12, and when they moved to the Big 12, I was like all in as far as TCU, and then when TCU and Baylor were battling for the Big 12 championship, my next door neighbor was a Baylor guy. We have fights back and forth. Like, are you he's like,
that's what it's about, man.
Baylor.
That's what it's about, man.
But here's the thing: I didn't know any of the players because college. The bad thing about college football is that unless you are really firmly ingrained in the actual, system, the players are so interchangeable because they're there 1 minute, they're gone the next. Especially the NIL rule taking them out of everywhere, but. Like my sister, my older sister lives up in Ponce City, Oklahoma. She's a big Sooner fan, and
Tell her I feel sorry for her.
Yeah, well, she grew up in South Texas, down in the Houston area, so I figured she'd be more of an A&M fan. But that didn't work out for her. She went to Sam Houston's college back in the day, and clearly they don't have a football team worth of shit. So they moved up to Oklahoma, and all of a sudden, Sooner football was like NFL football for them because they were winning. But now they're kind of stuck there because whatever. So, as like for me, when they lose, I'm the first one to go, aha, But and even when Texas beats them, which I don't know,
That's the heel in you.
Yeah, but here's the thing: I'm not a big. And this has nothing to do with the actual Longhorns themselves. This has something to do with one particular individual, and I think I mentioned this on the other show, on our other shows. Mac Brown was the reason why I turned my back on Texas. Now, Mac Brown, I ain't gonna lie, he's done a phenomenal job at North Carolina. He's done a phenomenal job coaching college football. He knows more about the sport than I'll probably ever know. But when you fall to peer pressure, because one of your top players coming in, his dad tells you either you start Chris Sims and bench Major Applewhite in the senior year, and I don't care. I'll move his ass to Stanford or wherever else I want to take him to. You have to play him. And you caved to that, and you put a really decent player, maybe not the best player in the world, Major Applewhite, but he had a kick-ass first name, Major. Second of all, he actually did some cool stuff in Texas, you know, and he won big games. Chris Sims never won a big game. Could never beat OU. Could never win the Big 12 championship. And honestly, he's pretty much a spare when it comes to being a TV guy. So,
yeah,
I mean, he's more of a spare than his dad, which is hard to believe. But I had a big problem with that, and I've always held that against Texas, and I probably shouldn't. But again, I love their colors. I love the burnt orange. I don't care about the white helmets, but as far as appearance wise, I do like the burnt orange. I just didn't. I didn't grow up being yay Longhorns go do whatever. That wasn't. I remember my dad was big on to him, although he wasn't really a Texan, but he was more of a Gamecock fan. But because he's from South Carolina. But yeah, I just I never gravitated to a national college team. This past year, Colorado got a lot of people interested in wanting to watch their program because of Deion Sanders. And then we watched that until they started losing. Then we quit watching them. But it was a nice little 3-week program that they had to say, "Hey, we're here. We're gonna make noise," and then the noise was never met. But Notre Dame clearly has got all the stories that go with the Rudy nonsense, all the stuff that goes with Notre Dame. We all know what Notre Dame is. Awesome, great. USC is now, they got their own scrutiny because former OU coaches will coach them now. And people who are from this neck of the woods, my neck of the woods, don't like USC at all because of him. So and Caleb, and of course, your favorite Caleb, what's his name, is going to be the first round pick in the draft.
I don't think he's worth his shit.
I know you don't, and you know what? I don't know if it's him or if it's Asian. I'm not sure.
I don't even think the kid from Michigan's worth his shit. I don't think he's worth his shit anyway.
But you don't think any rookie quarterback's worth his shit, so that's not fair.
True. You're
let's
I think it's even worse though for the Michigan quarterback because I don't think he's going to make it at all. Just kind of based upon it. But yeah, I think Caleb Williams has a better shot at the guy from my school.
It'd be interesting to see which quarterback out of which college had the most success. Like which college has produced the best quarterbacks in the NFL?
It looks like you got some research to do. I don't know.
No, I don't have that kind of time on my answer.
It's not USC, so I'll just tell you that.
I can't picture.
And you even did the background on that a little bit, so
I know it's not Texas.
It's not Texas.
It's not OU. Although OU's got with Baker Mayfield and with what's his name out of Arizona right now, which who knows how that's going to work out. But
look it up. We can look at. What
That requires work on
college
my part.
quarterbacks, Ben?
I mean, maybe Notre Dame because they had Joe Montana and Joe Theismann. Maybe.
Michigan could be up there. They've had a couple of guys out
Michigan,
there.
yeah. Michigan
Tom
had a
Brady with the
quarterback.
goat and all.
Michigan had a quarterback named Eric Crouch at one time, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think was he Michigan or was he Nebraska? I can't remember. But he got drafted by the Rams, right? And I had a sports card store at the time in Carrollton, and I picked a rookie card of his. It was a jersey card, number 2 of 10. Only 10 of them are made. I got card number 2. Threw on eBay, made $200. He retired the next day because he didn't want to be a wide receiver in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So
totally different.
Yeah. So,
but anyway, that being said, that's the name of the show. All right. What we need to do, we need to take another 30-second spot here real quick. When we come back, I want to move on to a local story that's going on. We talked about briefly a couple weeks ago. We'll do that when we come back here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. That being said, we'll be right back.
Recently, and for no reason at all, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous 2-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass f- Do you know how big their legal department is, face?" So to recap, Mint is actually lowering prices on every plan to just $15 a month. And I will stay the hell out of the legal department.
It cracks me up as far as that Reynolds being part of the Mint. Thank you, Mint. We're slowly working together on something, and this was part of what I'm going to kind of work with on him. So that being said, check it out. And I am a Mint Mobile guy. So, and matter of fact, let me do this here. Yes. Hold on a second. Let me do this, and then. So we'll do a little bit of more through the show with a little bit of kind of a thing there for Mint Mobile right there. Bang! I'll move my camera up next week. So, but yeah, right there, Mint Mobile. Check it out. 15. Listen, I don't have to pay another bill. I don't have to pay another bill from Mint Mobile until August of 2025. Okay. It cost me $165 to get me to August of 2000. Now, let me know how much you pay, how many months that you'll get for $165 with your coverage of your mobile service. But right there, Mint Mobile, there's the guy right there. Got me some good stuff here, and we're going to be working with them. Hopefully a little bit more. We'll talk about that. But let me go ahead and bring back on the Podfather. We're gonna wrap
your
around here.
Your breaks are not long to take a piss. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, there you go. Guy, by the way, you like my hat? Isn't it kind of cool?
Well, aren't you getting all this? Aren't you getting all the free shit?
It's Mint Mobile right there, baby. So anyway, that being said, of course, that's the name of the show. You take a look at what we've been talking about. And when I developed the list of what we were going to talk about today, man, it was all negative. It's just like it was all, it just kind of, a lot of times I don't notice how bad the negativity is until after I go back. It was negative through the whole thing, but this one just kind of slapped me in the face. But that's what's in the news, and of course we're going to talk about that. And of course, there's big story around in the Dallas area about a wide receiver from the Kansas City Chiefs getting in trouble as much as he has. So earlier the week, an arrest warrant was issued for Rice for his involvement in the situation. But as I did a little more research, not a lot, but just a little more research on it, it became very interesting to me. After you found certain things, I didn't want to go totally negative on this story. I really didn't. My idea was not necessarily to rip this guy new behind, although I was willing to do it if I had the facts. And guess what? I got the facts right here. Here's the facts right here. This is a picture that is taken. You can see it's from TMZ. I stole it from TMZ.
Mm-hmm.
After the accident, this guy just getting out of his car with his buddies and walking away from this thing. So that having been said, because that's the name of the show, he's got so many things going up against him. Okay. But interestingly enough, as far as what was going on here, and he was driving and everything, the attorney basically came out and said that he was guilty. And I found it very interesting. An attorney isn't going to do all this stuff. I mean, he should not be out there basically saying this guy is guilty, as he is guilty. And I'm going to show you the reason why he is guilty right here. As you look at it, this is the actual footage of what was going on from someone else's vehicle and how this whole thing happened. And you can see right there how this whole thing happened. And the end result of what you're seeing right there, as far and you'll see them, everybody's getting out of the cars and everything. And this was an instant fight or flight. And they lost the fight with the accident, and they went to the flight, and they walked away from this. And now, all the things that are going on as far as what is going to be charged with them, the one that is missing, and it makes zero sense to me, is that they are not being charged with hit and run. I mean, they got all these other things, and it's fantastic.
Well, because they weren't running, they were walking out, sir. You can't charge them for hit and walk.
Yes, you can. It's the same thing. All right. You moved away from the accident, say that you caused it and you moved. Whether you drove or walked is irrelevant. It's hit and run, and they're not even charging them with that. Never mind. I mean, don't get me wrong. They got a lot of charges against them, and this guy's going to pay through the nose for the rest of his life and never probably play. See, and this kind of stupidity is that wasn't just his vehicle. That was a rented vehicle, and the other one that was racing, he put under his name too. So I don't know I think I know what they were doing, and they just got caught up into something that they could not get out of it. They were speed racing. That's why they went to get a Camaro. That's why they went to get a Lamborghini. That's what the whole idea to do what they were doing, which was racing. And they did it on, by the way, the worst, tollway. The North-South Tollway, that's dangerous enough. I thank God I was not there. I hate that freeway. I hate North-South Tollway and the 635 in that order. They're both horrible, freeways. But that being said, this kid, he basically has probably, listen, the Kansas City Chiefs already suspended him. He's done, and he's not going to play for them. How do you pick up the phone and call this guy to play for your football team later on?
Well, if the great Al Davis was still alive, he'd find a way.
Well, interestingly enough, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, depending on what's going on, maybe Jared will pick up the phone. Hey, at least you did right here in Texas, but that. And I don't want to say, he was the number one wide receiver for his football team. But granted, listen, at best, he was number two on any other football team that had a real number one. And obviously, the guy that is making the plays is the quarterback. Someone does have to catch the ball. Completely understand it, and I get it, even to a certain point. But that whole situation, how this whole thing did, it just had, what was that show where they were street racing, the movie, the street with car,
Fast and Furious?
Yeah. It gave me the Fast and the Furious feel through this whole thing, and I'm not much of a guy that will look at that and feel sorry for any of the people that caused this thing, more so than the people that, thank God, didn't get killed. Because let me tell you right now, what they say, 119 miles an hour, they were estimating the speed that these people were going. And I don't know. I just don't understand the stupidity of young people. I don't know where I don't know where it all comes from. If it comes from entitlement, I don't know. But here's what I am going to say: the whole thing sucks.
I have a question. Who rents out a Lamborghini?
Huh?
Who rents out a Lamborghini? I mean, these are
rented. They rented
yeah,
them.
yeah. Who rents out a Lamborghini?
There's a company that they rented it from for high stake vehicles for high stake people.
So I
And
wonder
that's
how much.
what I forget the name of it. I was looking at it in TMZ. I might be able to find it, but yeah, I don't necessarily remember the name of the company. I might be able to find it, but yeah, I don't know.
I
I don't know.
mean, when he rents these cars out, does he have to sign like I'm responsible for the damage of these cars?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's responsible for the damage of the
I
cars too.
mean, how much money was this? Now, another
And
question.
by
You know,
the
you
way,
can
the
find
insurance isn't going to pay for it.
right. So,
Regardless that he has the coverage, the insurance is not going to pay for the damage to
so,
the vehicles. They might be on the
so,
hook liability wise for the other people, but as far as the money for the cars and stuff like that, they ain't paying for that.
so you might know this more than I did because you did all the research. How much was this contract?
Oh, that part I don't know. I just know that this was a company that it
I mean,
specializes in high end vehicle rentals and things of that sort.
I mean, he's a second tier wide receiver, right?
Yeah,
He's definitely replaceable. He probably makes about
definitely.
between 800 to maybe $1 million a year, maybe.
I think he makes a little bit more, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's around the $3 to $5 million guy.
Really?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. We could probably look it up really quick, but
you all wait for a 30 for 30 on him coming out here in about 20 years.
yeah, it could be coming.
Jesus.
But think about this: there are a total of 5 people involved with it, and they all popped up on the street and just started walking down the street. I mean, it's insane how the whole thing happened and the end result of it happening. And I will tell you.
You know what they're missing?
What?
They're missing the music from The Sopranos. They step out of the car and that music starts
Well,
playing.
I don't know. I think it might be. I think it needed to be more upbeat at 119 miles an hour.
Right. That's crazy.
I would think anyway. The whole thing, it's a crazy story. I'm really looking forward to where it ends out. And what will come from it. The good thing, obviously, is no one was killed. That's the good thing. So he's not on the hook like that one kid from the Raiders. I think his last name was, crap. I think his last name's Huff, if I'm thinking correctly, but who went out and killed somebody. At least he didn't kill anybody. But the blatant of I don't give a rat's fat ass what happened and the walk away is just really sad as far as the whole story is concerned. And it's hard to feel sympathy for the guy. I don't feel sympathy, and I hope they put him under the jail. So his career is basically over. This guy's going to jail. By the way, just to let you know, the Dallas Police Department, and they are going after him hard. From what I have been reading, is they've been trying to settle this thing and get it done really quick, and they're going, no way, we're going to take this guy down and take him down hard. And frankly, they should, because that's what should not have ended up happening in the first place. So,
well, yeah,
interesting story.
Yeah,
but
that sucks.
Where he ends up, we'll never find out.
Sucks for the Chiefs. My God, can that team ever catch a break?
Yeah, it's just like, but I gotta show the video again. I found the video. These
are cool.
Crazy.
I know why.
It's crazy that this is the day and age where cameras are everywhere, and guess what? You're going to get caught seeing on it. That's like,
Jesus
holy
Christ.
cow! It's just like, and I'm watching this and I'm going, how someone was not really seriously hurt, they're just damn lucky that it didn't happen to where someone was really, really hurt. It just, look, just hop out like it's no big deal, and then they start running down the street. It's
I didn't see him run down the street, but yeah,
that's or walking. Well, no, they were running down the street. I can't find the picture. I was going to try to bring it back up, but I can't find the picture where I got it from TMZ. But it was showing them just. Well, no, there it is. Hold on. Let me get it. And now if I can do, here it is, StreamYard, and I'm going to bring it in. How do you do this? Where I can show it on the other tab. Is it present?
Yeah,
It's on present. There it is. And then slides, video file. No, I guess it's screen share. All right. And then go to which one it was, that one. It was this one right here. All right, here. All right, share. There we go. All right, so there's them walking away from it, kind of walking and limping at the same time. This guy's leaning on this, dude right here. Is it showing? On the screen.
I see it, but it's not a video, so I can't tell if they're running.
Oh no, it's not a video of that. I would love to see the video, but they're just kind of walking and everything. But I did have that pic. All right, so let me just now. How do you stop doing that? Stop screen. There we go. All right. So, but the end result is this picture right here of them walking down.
Yeah.
Not caring the world, like they're just walking down the street, like no great big deal. It's unbelievable. Just the audacity of some people. I mean, geez, they don't. I don't know. I think I'm too.
They're just keeping it real. They're just keeping it real. Don't worry about that.
keeping it. Yeah. You're doing the old Chris Rock thing,
Keeping it real.
but you want to know the end result of what that?
Real dumb.
It's real dumb. It's kind of one of those things. But anyway,
well, that's on them.
Yeah. So, all right. Some other things. I didn't have a lot to talk about. I wanted to get on, but when the GOAT is out there, says that he is not opposed of a late season NFL return. That means he has not turned in his retirement papers to the NFL, because once you do that, you can't.
That means he doesn't want to do training camp. That means he doesn't want to really grow with the team.
Well, come on. Do you really think that out of all the people in the world, does Tom Brady do training camp?
He wants to be a mercenary and come in when needed to a winning team. That's all it is.
Okay. How much hell do you think he's going to catch for doing this if it ends up happening?
Well, it depends where he goes.
What do you mean, depending on where he goes? Explain.
Well, I mean, if the people from the Patriots call him and say, "Look, we're 5-10 right now. We got 2 games left. I don't think you want to come in here and help us out for 2 games." Pretty sure the answer would be no.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say you're the Detroit Lions. You are 14-1. You got 2 games left, and your starting quarterback just got knocked out for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They call and go, "Hey, Tom, you like cold weather, right? Well, we have a dome. You like AstroTurf, right? We got nice grass out here. We're on the verge of doing something that we've never done before again, and love to have you come in here and help us finish.
And we'll even bring in Gronk with you."
Listen. Since we're all talking about wrestling, we want you to finish the story here, okay? Have a little fun here in Detroit. Have you be the quarterback of the first ever world champion Detroit Lions. He'll look at that and go, "I've been to Detroit. I won't set up shop there, but 2 games, and then after that, we probably already clinched
playoffs.
We probably already clinched
8 weeks, maybe.
I mean, we're talking 8 weeks out of my life with another ring, possibly.
Gotta wait.
I mean, look, for me to come off my couch, or in this case, the Fox booth, I'd be willing to bet you he'll love to do the Fox stuff a lot more, less grind and less just nonsense. That it's such a cushy job to sit there and just talk football while it's going on. You do it on an indoor level. So, and you do it at the high school level too. So, I mean. So, I'm pretty sure he will find himself more accustomed to that, because Fox will pay him a shitload amount of money for him not to get hurt.
Correct.
Because, once again, if you're Tom Brady and you're coming into quarterback, that linebacker from another team is going, "Oh, yeah, I want to test myself against the GOAT. Sure, he ain't played in a couple of years, so it means he can be a little slow." And, that'd be a lot of fun. So I mean, he can talk all he wants, and a lot. I mean, Troy had this kind of talk too. I think for a while when he came out.
Yeah.
Romo had the same thing. A lot. I mean, yeah. Do a lot of them want to finish the way they finish? Probably not.
Probably not.
But oh well. I mean, he's got plenty of money. I mean, he's Tom freaking Brady. They made a movie about him. But
He's still making money. The Patriots are still paying him, by the way. So
I mean, they made a movie about going to go see him play. Okay, with 3 old bras wanting to go see him play. So yeah, clearly.
Clearly,
I mean,
that was terrible. Crazy knucklehead is terrible.
But
I think he'd be a good enough analyst. So
I think
Bill Belichick could be a great analyst for the NFL Network. I think he'd be fantastic because I watched him on that NFL Top 100 stuff with him and Rich Eisen, and he was fantastic on that. And I don't know what the hell he's doing now, but I saw a picture of him at some college right now doing spring training. But hey, whatever.
I don't know. As far as him, I have seen him on the microphone, and I guess I am really missing about how great he is on there. So I'll just say that.
I don't think he's good at live stuff. He has to be pre-taped.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're, and I'll just use the example because one of the best people to make the move from the field to get into the booth is Tony Romo. Folks criticize that guy so much, but they don't realize how much knowledge is actually coming from him sitting behind that mic. Compared to any other, like my fat ass rolling in there. Of course, you want to hear someone who knows what the hell they're talking about as far as taking you. If you allow Tony Romo to take you into the game, you'll see the game in a different perspective. That's just what I'm saying. More so than just a guy calling the action. I mean, because I can call the action. I can maybe give you a little nuances of what they're doing, but to go in depth like a Tony Romo has been able to do with the position that he has, never mind the guy's making an incredible, insane amount of money to do it. I mean, come on, let's get serious.
Your biggest problem doing play-by-play is that you're really quick to dismiss your partner. Because you dismiss me a ton of times when we're doing sort.
Always dismiss you. That's part of our kick here. So that's but that's just what we do.
I mean, and like I've not been there before or not. Jesus, I'm like, hey. Jackass.
Jackass. But anyway, that having been said,
but it was funny because last night when we started doing commentary, me and Bobby I said something that was ridiculous. He's like, "Man, you an asshole." I'm like, "We can't quite say that for kids watching." So he's like, "Okay, you an asshat." I'm like, I'm not sure what I want to be.
That sounds like Mo. Come, Miss Mo. I haven't seen him forever. I want to get out to the shows, but now I'm working on Saturday, man. I mean, it's hard enough for me to get out to that football game. Never mind. But I am going to make my way out there, and fairly soon.
Well, I mean, talking to him last night. I mean, unless he finds another venue, I think he's going to stick with Carrollton.
Well, hold on. I thought my understanding. I thought he was going to go to that soccer field and go over there. Is that not part of the plan anymore?
No. The soccer field is for the Summer Spectacular show. That's for the bigger audience.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the CrossFit Templeman is going to be for your monthly student shows that he's doing out there.
Yeah, so, gotcha.
And
interesting. I didn't necessarily mind that place, by the way.
I mean,
once I got the air conditioner on.
Well, I mean, I remember we were doing Sorcade out there with the cage match with Nate and Dante. Still one of my favorite matches to ever call because
God, I laughed through the whole thing every single time. I can't even go through it. Kind of remind me of Ryzen and Dean just laughing through the whole thing after I watched.
I remember when Nate was crawling on the outside of the ring, the referee was knocked out. And he crawled right by where his wife and his newborn child was at the time. And I sat there and she says, I bet that kid's underneath the ring gonna have a weapon. And you had that whole, what do you stop? And I'm like, no, that's what my kid would do. I mean,
it's just, yeah, the difference between your kid and that kid. Yeah.
I mean, there's my kid and his kid. My kid's a winner. But I mean,
By the way, I go back and I watch those. I just, and I don't want to pat ourselves on the back or anything, but man, I loved every minute of it. There's not one. One of my favorite matches was what's his name, Dandy. When Dandy was out there with that triple threat thing with the other company that was videoing it and stuff. What's his name? Dandy.
Dandy, yeah.
What's his whole name? His Southern
remember.
Dandy. The Southern Dandy. Yeah. So I just love that whole thing, and then that was with the wig that we had on and stuff. I have those videos. I'll sit and watch them. Just cracks me up listening to us. It's just like we're so stupid.
Well, I wouldn't watch the 3 Days of Hell with Dean Fleming and Ryzen.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
And at the one point where you had completely lost it. I'm like, I got this. Okay. And like, I mean, it's even on one of the shorts on the OIWY page where they both had a blindfold on, right? And Dean got a hold of him and slammed him, and he went to do a nice running elbow or whatever, and Ryzen got out of the way, and I'm like, if they go,
I lost it. That was the funniest. One of these days we're gonna have to put those up and just reminisce about them. They're just so funny.
Give me 1 second, because I think I can present. I think I can present that too. Hold on a second. Maybe. Open the window here. Yeah. Just keep talking. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure. But anyway, that being said, going back, just a couple more things and then we'll get on out of here. I got some things that I got to get done, but I think we have a problem. Where was the WrestleMania this year? Philadelphia. What's their nickname? The city of
Brotherly Shove.
Brotherly love. The city of brotherly love. And they disrespected one Allen Iverson. This is the quote unquote trophy that they put together that they were going to have on the outside of where the 76ers play. And the trophy is smaller than Allen Iverson. This is so sad. This is such a sad story. I mean, I don't know how anybody does not. It's not funny. It really is not funny. Oh man, the disrespect. I don't know who thought of that idea to do that and not make it like a Michael Jordan size or maybe even half of a Michael Jordan. This thing wasn't even as tall as Allen Iverson. Oh my God. I don't know where it's coming from, but interestingly enough, not more than like 7 years ago on this show, someone asked me what I thought about Allen Iverson. I was like, dude, I'm not impressed. Then I went and looked at the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about a guy that had numbers, and this was the time when I was watching Allen Iverson, and my hate for him overcast the shadow of the talent of what this guy is. And I had to, one of the things that when you're doing these shows, the last thing that you want to do is to maybe admit that you were wrong. All right. So let me bring that up.
Oh my God!
You're gonna go for the big kick. Wait a minute! Oh man! There you go. Dean's got control of the match now.
Oh my! Yes, he does. There's
slam.
the big slip.
Oh, it's over. It's all over. Oh, he's gonna pick him again.
He's gonna try.
He's not done yet.
Oh my God!
You're gonna go for the big kick. Wait a minute! Oh man! There you go. Dean's got control of the match now.
Oh my! Yes, he does.
Big body slam. Oh, it's over. It's all over. Oh, he's gonna pick him again.
Oh my God! I can still watch that all day long. Just cracks me up. It's unbelievable. Oh man. But
that's too funny.
Anyway,
yeah. I mean, we had the actual match. We had the actual matchup on the OIWA page. We actually watch the entire thing and just laugh at it. I think. Because it's funny. I mean, it's one of the funniest things because because at one point you are out on the entire commentary, and I'm like,
I couldn't get back in. I had tears running down. I couldn't get back in. Just couldn't. And what I think was so great about that, just a lot of people don't necessarily know what goes into doing commentary in reality. They don't know. We
Absolutely.
really did not get together before it. This is all raw, and it's all really authentic.
But here's the thing, though. You and I did something that me and the other person that I worked with at the other promotion didn't do. You know, you and I, we had formed a bond earlier on, and we would sit there before the show for about a good hour or so, shooting the shit.
Longer.
Getting a feel for each other. Now, when Mo and all the rest come in, you go into the ass kissing Mo and go get their picture taken with them and everything else. That was you. That's what you do. But me, I mean, to sit there and actually, you know, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That's what you did. But you and I would sit there and we would start building our chemistry, like right off the bat, because it wasn't like we were doing this every week like we're doing it now. We were doing this a month, and it's hard to find yourself back in that same mode you were a month ago, just because, like in football, you have week after week after week after week after week to form that chemistry. In pro wrestling, on the national levels, they got week after week after week after week after week. If you remember, you got 2 shows a week, whatever. So, but I mean, our situation, we were coming from both 2 different ends of the spectrum. You, big wrestling fan, more into football, when to call wrestling. Me, an ex-wrestler, and someone who's more familiar with the psychology of wrestling, trying to merge those 2 worlds together. And we couldn't do that if we did this once a month. We had to start building chemistry. Now, my situation with the other company that I worked with at the time was, here was a guy, I come to do the show. I'm like, hey, how's it going? He's like, I'm good.
Mm-hmm. We used to sit for hours beforehand, just it does. It's that genuine back and forth.
But if you remember correctly, that long car ride from Richardson down to Cleveland, where we really started to form that bond, you know, because they always say, you know, a lot of wrestlers, you know, they book their stuff in the cars and they're going from place to place to place. You know, a lot of great ideas are formulated around that idea.
In the car.
You and I were still kind of getting to know each other, you know, and we were still, you know, you and I would go sit at a restaurant over there in Cleveland, and we're in character the entire time. I'm still the villain, you're still Sonny, and you know, and it's just, you know, we're ordering from the waitress.
That's easy. You're always an asshole. I'm always the great guy.
But I'm the one they pay to see.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's funny. Last night, after the show was over, Bobby had his family in town for his birthday, right? So his either his cousin or his sister or whoever she was, she comes right up to me and is like, I don't like you, you cheat. Well, I'm like, man, I did not cheat. I facilitated victory. I made sure my guy was going to win. I did nothing different than what this man would do right here. She's like, now you just a cheater. I'm like, okay, well, I'm a cheater. I don't come to your work and tell you that you're a cheater.
Exactly.
But no, I mean, look, you know, I mean, that's the thing. You connect with the crowd one way or the other.
Yes.
Exactly. And you and I connect
whatever
with each
you
other
do.
as far as, yeah, and you and I will connect with each other as far as, you know, getting our rhythm. Because like when we do these shows, you have a tendency to keep talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. And I'm trying to get the word edgewise, and that's fair. But you know, like, you know, you don't believe in back and forth. You believe, give me the ball until I'm tired of it, and then I'll give it to you. So I'm like, so I have to grow accustomed to that, and it's hard to when we have like me, you, Cuervo, Bryce, whoever, and you know, right. So it's hard to get all 5 of us to sit here and talk, but you know, it is what it is. We make it work.
Don't die on me here. You're going to do it again.
This is it. I'm coming.
I'm to join you, honey.
I know there I want to go see. But anyway, I live. Anyway, so we had that. We had that for the how should we say this? It was a wonderful accident that we had all that. You know,
I think you're right.
it just happened to work that way, and I think that's what made our commentary so good with each other to where, as I always say, and I've not had this with anybody else since then. You have two shows in one. You have the show of the match in the ring, and you have the two idiots sitting there doing commentary, entertaining us with their jokes and trying to be funny and whatever else. You know,
If they can do it.
yeah. And now the ones who can put that together and make our commentary make sense with the match, then they saw the goal of what we were trying to do. Very few got that, unfortunately. Right. Very few.
A lot of it was organic, though, too. You think about that,
but
organic.
All of it's organic because we don't know what they're going to do. We're not part of the discussions backstage. Mm-hmm. I mean, we hear, damn, I'm dying. We hear in the pre-match meetings, like, all right, you got Dante over there going, all right, everybody, here we go. We're going to first match. We're going to so and so. This is going to go over. And this match, and this match, that was going to go over. So we have a general idea. We have it written on a piece of paper who's going to go over and whatnot, and that might change. But what sucks for me because I was doing music too, so I'm like having to. Really, he won. He wasn't almost on the list. Okay, he won. So so we're not aware of when they're going to go fight into the truck, and we don't see what's going on in the truck, and we don't see what's going on outside the arena. So we're just guessing at that point. At that point, I'm like, well, shit.
I remember you were calling moves on the outside of the plane. We're inside, and I'm dying. They were outside doing something. You know, and I'm freaking dying.
I'm sitting going, stay from my car. This thing's not paid off yet.
The whole thing was just lunatic, and I'm willing to get back into it sooner or later once everything gets squared to where everything, or if that's what they want to do. But at the same time, it was like 4 years we did that. It was just a crack.
We did,
and then not only that, we did it in the middle of friggin' COVID. You know, when other companies weren't doing it, we're doing the mask, and of course we made fun of doing making the fun wearing the mask, not wearing the mask.
I'll wear a mask up here and here. You know,
I got the picture. It's on my Facebook page. It's one of the ones on the sides. It just makes me laugh. But we worked through adversity, whether it was COVID, whether it was a guy who's going to be there and now he's not there anymore, how we're going to put it together.
Well,
and stay with the love of what we were doing too.
I remember, and I'm have to release some names here because of this, because it only makes sense. We had a show one time where the current champion, JD Griffey, was asked to lose the title to Dean Fleming.
Who was it?
JD Griffey.
Yeah, Griffey. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So he was asked to drop the title to Dean Fleming. Dean Fleming's first ever title reign, and he was not having it. He thought this was going to ruin him. He thought this was going to, knock him down a few pegs, and he didn't need to have this. And we were worried if we were going to get the match or not. And we were going the entire show. You and I saying, "Do we have a main event? I don't know." Do we have a main event?
I do remember that.
Yeah, and they got the match in the ring, which I give both guys 100% credit for. We got the match in the ring, which is the old Macho Man saying, "Get the match in the ring." Oh yeah, clearly, But there was some worries about that because a lot of people had assumed you put the belt on Dean Fleming, your promotion will go under in no time. That was 3 years ago, maybe 4. He has been multiple champion since then. Mm-hmm. Company is, I'm not saying they're thriving, but they're surviving, and it's not because of him. It's just because that's the climate we live in. But he
was like the Drew McIntyre in reality,
Yeah, the thing is that Dean Fleming, Jonathan Yates, he's a hell of a human being. Okay.
Oh God, yeah.
and he's funny, he's witty, he does things that like Bobby was telling all the students about Dean and how the company's gonna go under. Right when he was saying that, Dean starts walking in with his briefcase and everything. I was like, saying, and the right thing's like, yeah, that's right. I was gonna bring this whole place down. Look at it now. So it's just, I mean, cool as hell. I can't say anything. I can't say anything negative about the guy.
Do anything for you within his power. I know that.
So, kudos to him for being who he is and everything else, and for being with this company since SOAR started. And also, look, I would love to be able to do commentary with someone like you, if not just you again. Because I do think my presentation sucks when it's just me calling the matches. And I know that when I have to go on the OIWA Worldwide show and actually cut my own commentary over the matches that I'm watching, it ain't that great. But I'm doing my best, and like I got the promoter out in England saying, "Oh, you're doing fantastic." I'm like, I don't feel like I am, but because it's hard, because I got to have someone to bounce off of.
Of course, you're your worst. So you're your own worst critic. That's the way it works.
The thing is, I know what I sound like, and it's not great. So for me to sit there and talk about that in a very monotone voice, without much personality, oh my god! I mean, I'm not. What's his name from ECW? Oh my god! Mass, I don't believe it. I don't have that. So, but like you had that. You have that. That thing, and I will sit there and just go, calm yourself. It's okay. Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. And again, you go on OIWA YouTube page and check out some of the matches that we had back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fun stuff we did. Laurentez X is a guy that I really enjoyed calling for match because of his gimmick.
Right.
He had a mannequin head, which I went up to his mannequin head one time. I took my cell phone to see if I can charge my phone with it. And we had a lot of fun with that. And again, wrestling's about characters. Wrestling's about
just having fun.
Yeah,
and you gotta have fun through it. If you don't, you're gonna hate. You're gonna hate it.
Yeah, and if you don't, I'll hit you with roller quarters.
There you go. So, well, I think I've gotten everything that I wanted to. Let me just go up to this spot.
You have 30 minutes, sir. Hurry up.
Well, we kind of just want to change it. We could have been done, but it works out. All right. The last thing I had on was this right here. The stories. Now, I want to preface this to saying that I don't necessarily have anything against a Caitlin Clark, per se.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to ask you: do you think they're really just pushing her to push her? I mean, I understand she broke the records and everything, but I'm not falling for her being the best college basketball player of all time. I'm just not buying it. Okay, just more than the fact that I've watched a lot of college basketball, and if first of all, you can argue depending on how you look at things. Okay, one, I will say the best college basketball player was the one who had it before she broke it, which would be Pistol Pete Maravich. Now, folks don't even know who that is per se, but that's the record that she broke per se, as far as that's concerned. And that's not a real record in reality. The real record is held by somebody else, but it's before they merged it, so they don't even acknowledge the real record. But more than the fact, I think, and I don't know if it's by design, I'm just getting Caitlin Clark shoved down my throat more so than it really being organic. I don't know. Am I just being, as the thing, am I just being an asshole? Like, and that could be the answer. But I'm not impressed by Caitlin Clark.
There are people who out there who think that people are being pushed on their throat and they're going to be more offended by it. Like, back when Jordan was at his height, Jordan is Jordan. And I thought it was Jordan. I thought that was Jordan overkill. But it didn't take away from the fact the guy was great. I just thought the overkill was too much. Caitlin Clark, I think, has the opportunity to help turn the WNBA into a watchable event.
Okay.
Because the
I'm
problem,
glad you said that.
because they don't draw.
Nope.
Look from a wrestling standpoint, they don't draw. They don't have any personalities. They don't really have any care. They got great athletes. Don't get me wrong, but they're just doing
Agreed.
layups. They're just doing layups after layups and jump shots after jump shots. Nothing standing out. So here comes Caitlin Clark, probably one of the best female basketball players to come out of college, and I said female because she's a female. So she's coming into the WNBA. She'll get a lot of money based on what the team wants to pay them. How their salary structure is different, I don't know.
Is she? Is she? Yeah, because of
Well,
the salary structure.
Yeah,
She's not going to get a lot of money. She's actually making. She's going to make more. She made more playing basketball in college than she is in
maybe so.
WNBA.
But then,
Well, not maybe so. She is.
Then it's on her to get sponsors. It's on her to
Mhm.
become a spokesman for women's sports. It's up for her to not have the world handed to you, but to get off your ass and actually become a marketable name. You know,
Good
this
point.
goes back to what years ago, and it's funny how this all kind of turned around. Years ago, CM Punk and Triple H had a promo in the ring,
Yes,
and
I know exactly where you're going. Go for it.
okay, well, shut up, let me say it. Anyway,
Okay.
CM Punk talked about how 7-Eleven put 4 different guys on their cups, and CM Punk was not one of them. Triple H came out and says, you know, you want ice cream bars, you want this, you want that. Well, here's the thing. If you get over with the crowd, you make yourself available, you make yourself the marquee guy, you don't come to us to be put on the 7-Eleven cup. They come to us to put you on there.
Mm-hmm.
Case in point, the prime drink was in the center of the ring at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Was in the corners of all 4 corners. Had a prime rehydration station that was used to get the shit beat out of you by everybody else. C4 is going to be the main sponsor going forward to SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to them. WWE is not making phone calls. They're going to them because they're like, you guys have got the biggest reach. You've got the biggest possible way to make our brand look huge. So we want to do business with you. Caitlin Clark needs to look at that perspective and go, okay, let's say I show up in the WNBA and I tear it up. Nike will come to me. Watch the movie Up. Watch the movie Up. Because at that time, when the whole story is about how Nike got Michael Jordan, because Converse wanted him, a lot of the companies wanted him, they were going to pitch him a certain way, but the guy who got the Matt Damon character who got Michael Jordan to sign with Nike, he said, look, we know what you're going to be, and we're willing to work with you. We're going to dedicate a whole brand off of you. They came to him and offered him everything. They bounced back with the 100% of their shoes that sold. Fine. It worked. It worked out well for everybody. No one complained. So Caitlin Clark has the opportunity to have the big sponsors, the McDonald's, the Pepsis, the Cokes, the Dr. Peppers, the Nikes, the Converses, all the major market brands that are out there that are commercials like crazy, that are on streaming services all the time. I have her picture on there all the time. She'll make her money doing it that way. She might not make $1 playing basketball, but she will make money because she played basketball. And I think that's what she has to look at it as.
Yeah.
And then be the front runner for that.
Got to do something like that.
You okay?
I had to shut the door. My dog came in and opened the door.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. It's all about marketability, and when you got them calling you, it's totally different than you're reaching out trying to get the sponsor to come to you. They're different strategies.
I mean,
One's easier than the other, and things of that
imagine the
sort.
hard work. Imagine the hard work you had to do to get Mint Mobile to be a sponsor for this show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, to get your free hats and to get all the stuff that you get, and to be allowed to run a Ryan Reynolds commercial on your show twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I don't know how much money you paid for it, but I mean, I don't know how much money they're going to pay you. But you had to go out of your way to do all that.
Yes.
So imagine if they came to you.
Innovation. It's innovation is what it is.
Yeah. But imagine if they actually came to you. Imagine they watch your show that says, "Hey, listen, Sonny, we like your show on Sunday. It's really nice. You're very insightful about football. You got that one idiot, the Podfather, who we're just loving because he's funny as hell."
Yeah, that's it, right? Yeah.
But look, we got McDonald's money here. We're willing to pay him. First of all, you would take that from me and never tell me about it for sure.
Gotcha.
Because you're an asshole.
But that's just the way I am.
Exactly. But yeah, you think he's Santa Claus? You just wait, folks. But
look for something in July. That's all I gotta say. Look for something in July.
July.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I thought this was a month away.
Well, no, that'll be done before then. But yes.
Okay.
But,
all right.
Have you ever heard of Christmas in July?
Yeah, that's when they play the Christmas Story on TBS all day long in July. Jesus Christ! That actually happened at one time. It's back in 1987.
I remember that.
But no. So I mean, I think you know, the WNBA has to reinvent themselves one way or the other, because to stay a viable product, and yes, you can have the one. I mean, nobody watches the LPGA. Because there's no stars there. Nobody watches, a lot of women do watch women's softball. Funny that is, it doesn't draw that huge of a crowd. It's a very niche thing, kind of like what AEW does.
Absolutely. Niche is a great word. Mm-hmm.
You get a handful of people, 5 or 6 of them, they're going to watch. But let's say you reach your hand into 100 marbles. You can only pull out 5. That's your audience. So that's unfortunately in the NFL, right? You got 100 marbles, you reach in there, they're all going to attract to you almost, and you probably get about 90% of them coming out of your arm. Those 10% are the ones that go shopping. So that's just how the sports are. It's not a male female thing though; it's a marketable thing. If the places out there like Nike would invest in more women athletes, maybe we have a different story. But because they don't, they're the ones who make it more male dominated than anything else. Look, Ronda Rousey had every opportunity in the world to become a female fighter that can draw a lot of extra money. But she lost. And then she lost her confidence. How
she lost it. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes to WWE, and then all of a sudden she realizes this is not the MMA world. I can't really function in this all that well. Now she writes a book about how she's a victim. So it's what it is. Again, she'll make her money in selling books. Although I think the publisher makes the most money off of that. She has to make money off the book signings. So look, it's all about how you're being branded.
Yep.
How's she gonna be branded? I mean, if Nike gets a hold of her, puts her seal of approval on her, which is a damn swoop, and say, "You're our girl. Run with this." We'll give you every opportunity.
Find the right one to do it, or it's not going to be successful.
And
you might have to take a little bit less money to get the right people to do it for you. I mean, sometimes watching the business side of it is a little bit different, and getting the end results that you want. Quit knocking over that. All right, lay back down.
Okay. Now,
go to my dog. Sorry.
I know you are. Go back and see how much Michael Jordan was being paid by the Bulls when in heyday, because that was not even a fraction of what he was making on McDonald's, Nike, whatever else he was with, whoever else he was with at the time. I mean, he was making money hand over fist.
Absolutely.
And his basketball playing was barely a part of that. But now you got these players who are signing for $100 million because they can't make money off, anywhere else. So at that point, the owner kind of feels like, well, I have to pay him because they're going to go somewhere else who's going to pay him. But they could actually go if they actually got off their lazy ass and did something and not being runaway cars on Central Expressway, they'll be all right. You know what I mean? So
something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of that. So I know it's hard. It's hard to be the person going out there to look for sponsors, but if you're so good, they'll come find you.
Absolutely.
And she can be really good. Look at Mike Tyson. You think Mike Tyson goes into an ad agency and goes, I think I can help you out very much. What do you think? He's Mike fucking Tyson. He's an convicted rapist. And if they sit there and go, fine, we got you. Don't worry about it. I mean, he found a way to make money. He found a way to be marketable. And honestly, boxing was a sheer part of that. It was like a very tiny part of that. He made a ton of money that he lost to Don King, but that boxing career, it made Mike Tyson Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson after prison is a bigger star now than he was when he was a boxer.
I'll mildly disagree with you. But
look at the Hangover. He was in that.
Cameos don't mean anything. Hey, Father.
Look at
WrestleMania.
He was a part of that.
Well, that was before he went into jail.
No. He came out of jail and he went to the Hall of Fame.
No, I'm talking about when he was one of the first to really define that. Really, I mean, granted, they had the Cyndi Laupers and all that, but when you brought in Mike Tyson to the WWE, you changed the landscape of celebrity into the WWE. He really did. He just changed the whole damn thing.
Which is weird because they had brought in Muhammad Ali at one time.
Absolutely, but everybody knew that the idea of Muhammad Ali getting into a wrestling match wasn't going to happen. But a Mike Tyson who's willing to whip ass, yeah. So the marketing on that, and like you said, it's about marketing, it's about branding, how they're going to get it done. See, I could probably take this to ends of it. It takes too much effort on my side. I'd have to find someone else on that, but I have been doing that. That's why you see, that. But more in the fact of being able to get the right ones, and especially if they're going to get out of the simple fact, and this is fact. This has nothing to do with men, women, misogyny or not. If asses are not in the seats, no one gives a shit. It's as simple as that. Okay. And what needs to happen is that Caitlin Clark has got to get a stranglehold of all the women that she is representing. Okay. And bring it to the forefront and get those asses in seats. All right. And that, say whatever you want about it. It's not going to be successful. Now, that's not men's fault that that's not working. Okay. The simple fact of the matter is they can't even draw their own sex. And that's the problem. So can she be the person to make that different? That's what's going to happen in order for the WNBA and all this. Oh, we want, LeBron money, which they never should.
Okay, well, then let me ask you this question now. Does it matter that she's white?
Does it?
You tell me. It's basketball.
I don't know. I don't even give a shit about that.
I know you don't, but we're not talking about you. We're talking about the world.
Well, I don't know. I guess I don't know the.
I mean, basketball
preferences of certain races on what they'll watch or what they'll do or respect it.
Time out. Basketball is a predominantly black sport,
right?
So will her look appeal to women's sports because she's white?
Well, hold on. I think you're right about basketball being predominantly black up on the men's side. I don't know what it is on the other side. I don't watch it to know if there are anybody.
See?
I know Tarazi is there, and she's white. I know Caitlin Clark is white. I know Brittany's black. I think you get more of a melting pot in the
Maybe so.
WNBA more so than the NBA.
But
That would be my just first impression of what little I've watched of the product.
but then here's the other problem you're on too. You have men's dollars and you have women's dollars,
Right.
and those are spent differently.
Absolutely. And I think the women wanting the men's money is just ludicrous. It's not, it doesn't even make, first of all, it doesn't make business sense. And that's what it's all about. The final line on any of them is whether or not you can put people in the seats. And when people start coming, then all those other little details and stuff, or, people getting more money when they get more eyes up on the product. You got to remember the NBA is subsidizing this. Okay. And even with the NBA, they can't get asses in seats.
A good friend of mine, Eugene Miller, God rest his soul, he passed away on my birthday 3 years ago. Which is why I don't really celebrate my birthday, because I'm reminded of that phone call I got from his daughter. But he was a huge basketball fan. Loved basketball. Didn't matter who was playing. Men, women, didn't give a shit. We used to go to Maverick games all the time, me and him. And he'd always say, man, I'm going to go down to Houston and go catch me a WNBA game one time. I'm like, really? So if they ever put one in Dallas, I'd go. The year he died, the Dallas Wings came to town.
Wings came. Yep.
Yeah.
I applied for the play-by-play job, by the way.
I was like, it's all about you, isn't it? Jesus. No,
just let you know.
Sovereign moment for me. You got the sovereign moment for me. You got to bring it all back to you.
I know about the wings.
Yes, I know. Okay.
Better than most. And I don't even watch the product, and I know more about the wings.
Yeah. So anyway, so it's sad for me that he wasn't able to live to see that actually happen, come to fruition. So I bet he would love to have gone. He had a stepdaughter that was very much connected to him, and I'm pretty sure he would have loved to have taken her to go be a part of that. Don't know if she's a big athlete or not, but I don't think. But be a great bonding moment for those two. Never got
absolutely,
to happen, and it does suck. Again, basketball purists will go see basketball. Don't matter who's men or women. It don't matter.
Fully agree.
But how many of those are out there? That's an interesting thing.
Purist.
That's your hand to the marbles. You grab out a few. Okay.
Correct.
The other ones are the ones that want to see the superstars. So when the superstars come out, like when the Mavericks played the Nuggets, nobody went to go see them back in the day. But when the Mavericks played the Bulls, always sold out.
Yep. That's where the idea of charging more prime tickets for big names came involved.
If the Clippers came to town, nobody gave a shit. If the Lakers came to town, people gave a shit because they want to see Kobe. So, clearly, it's a superstar sport. She has to get past that. She has to
I agree.
Get to that level and supersede it on a marketing level to make money in this league. And then at that point, then she'll make her hundreds of millions of dollars with Nike and McDonald's, whoever, and then she'll make $2-3 million playing basketball. And you know what? Nobody will ever know.
Exactly.
Because she's a success, and she's on SNL recently this past weekend.
I heard about that. Was it any good? I don't know.
I saw the clip. She was on Weekend Update, and she just did a whole thing at the end of the Weekend Update, and she gave Michael Shea a little pink embroidery thing with her name on it, and I guess he has a kid on the way or something. So anyway, it was cool though. I mean, again, it's at the end of the day, and it's on top of where my picture is. It says sports. It's still a sport. Men or women playing it. It's still a sport.
Right.
If you watch the Olympics, that's the one time in sports where everybody will watch it no matter what. Who are interested in sport, because men's swimming, women's swimming, it's the same. It's still swimming. Women's racing, men's racing, still the same. It crosses the lines when you want to have women compete in men's sports against other men, like the boxer who was a transgender boxer and had a fight not this past weekend and got their ass beat. Happens. Could happen if he was a guy, or like a natural born guy, but it does happen. So does a person that beat this other person, does that make them a less of a person because they beat up a person that may have been less genetically inclined? I mean, who knows? I don't know. But that's what they are. That's what they're willing to do. You know, I mean, it is what it is, and
well, it's all business, and it's all how you get it done, and
it's all talking. It's all a talking point too. It's do you believe women should get the same opportunities that men get? Yeah, they should. Should they get paid the same if they earn it? But men have got. People always seem to forget. Men got to earn it too. Okay. Not every guy out there gets everything handed to him. Not everybody walks into a store and gets Mint Mobile handed to them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, for those who are watching this and have seen this whole thing, notice the Mint Mobile is above his name, and the cheap labor part of the show is above my name. So,
here we go. Here we go. I can't even get away from this. Well, I by the way, I just want people to know I'm not interested in WNBA. It doesn't mean I want it to go away. Okay. A lot of people seem to think that, Sonny just wants it to go. No, I don't give a shit. So I don't care if it's there or not. But that's all part of it. And I'll use the example of what's going on. A lot of people don't know, but right now, tennis is in France right now. Does anybody know that? No, you got to find people who want to know that. And whether that's marketing or just finding a lot of people that want to see it, you got to figure out a way to work them both together. Because listen, I know more about tennis than most people would think that I would know. Okay, I know tennis. All right, and I'm telling you right now, I'm having a good time watching some tennis. That having been said, how that ends up on a global scale with how the NBA has built what they've done. Listen, the NBA's got billion-dollar basketball teams. These teams on the WNBA are being subsidized by the NBA teams. So, and they're not throwing millions of dollars at something. Listen, they're not in business to throw millions of dollars just away, just to throw it away. There's got to be a method behind the madness. Now, if they can throw money at it and it becomes successful, then they can get better at trying to market it and bring it on. And it's going to be whether it's Tarazi, who they started this up with about 5-6 years ago. Now let's see if they can just pass the torch in reality and get to the finish line to make it to where it's mainstream.
Well, I mean, look at what's playing this weekend. We got the Masters going on today. Today's the final day of the Masters.
Yes.
You think the Masters was inclusive to everybody, or just certain people for a long time? Mm-hmm. I mean, Tiger Woods had to he had to break the barrier on the color part of that.
Oh man, he shot an 83 yesterday or day before. It was either yesterday or the day before.
Listen,
crap.
Listen, the man's not what he used to be. Clearly,
nope.
But you know what? If this is the one event he gets up for, guess what he's going to do? He's going to draw because he's Tiger.
He is drawing
because he's Tiger fucking Woods. Yeah,
he's Tiger Woods. He is golf, and that's what they need to figure out how they're going to get Caitlin Clark to do. She needs to become women's basketball because that's the only way it's going to get in mainstream.
Because the one girl that got sitting over in jail overseas, Brittany
Griner.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't do the.
You would think they would be able to just pack the stadiums to see this girl. But why that didn't happen? You got to ask why. Not because, and what is the reason why they're not doing it? Listen, I'm telling you right now, Brittany Griner came to do something. I'm sure people will come to see it. Okay, so they got to figure out. It can't be just Brittany Griner. It can't be just Caitlin Clark. It can't just be Diane Taurasi. It's got to be a put together of some people that can get more than just a few people interested. In order to bring in more people, you got to get more. You got to find more superstars, and I don't know how you do it. I can't solve that problem, but at the same time, that's what they got to do.
Well, and again, it's it's almost an unwinnable battle in some cases because you have to deal with the aspect that people don't care. like you.
Yes.
You don't care.
Yes. I know.
So I mean, and but you're honest about that.
But
So
how about this? How about this? Figure out a way to get me interested in it.
see, again knowing how much of a sports Nazi you can be, and how pro football is your biggest love. College football only works if it's your team's involved.
Mm-hmm.
You don't care about baseball, from what I can tell.
Not really.
I'm a big Ranger fan. I follow baseball. I actually, and sports movies for me made me enjoy that more, I think.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
But that's just me. That's just me. Look, we should do a whole show one time to talk about sports movies. That'd be a lot of fun.
Probably. Oh yeah, we could.
Yeah, you could, because I watched an interview with Dennis Quaid on Rich Eisen this past week, and he talked about the making of Any Given Sunday. How he thought that was the best sports movie, the best football movie ever. I'm like, not even close. Not even close.
Playmakers is that was on ESPN is better than that. Just to throw that out.
Well, I mean, for me, the replacements with Keanu Reeves and Gene Hackman is probably the best football
college
movie.
That's that college thing. I get why you like that.
No, it's pro. It was based on the 1987 strike season when the Scabs came in to play football. It was based on that.
Right, but they're all just coming out of college, though. That's why.
So some came out of jail.
Okay.
Some came out of prison. The program was really good. Don't know if it holds up now, but the program was really good. And then there are movies that are sports movies.
Draft Day.
Draft Day is a great NFL football, and football is a backdrop. You don't even see football. I mean, it's just a backdrop. There are movies that are football movies. There are movies where football is the background of what the movie's about. Like Rudy is about Rudy getting on the field, right? They don't have the last minute scene in the movie.
Absolutely. They get to the point.
Yeah. Necessary Roughness, as funny and goofy as that movie is, I loved it. It's from North Texas. I loved it.
Major League, Bull Durham. I mean, these are cornerstones of
the natural was
what it's like.
The baseball is the backdrop of that. So, I mean, you have stuff like that. But Any Given Sunday for me was just all over the place.
Yes.
The only thing I loved about that movie was the speech that Al Pacino gave at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And James Woods. James Woods, that crazy fucking doctor.
Listen, awesome. James Woods is probably the worst actor in the freaking world. He sold that thing. He sold it. Yeah. But one of the he did a show on CBS called Shark. I loved it. It was the worst overacting of anything that you would ever see. But I fell for it and I loved it. And it's the same thing. You're right. I don't think he got enough credit for what he did in that movie.
I never thought of him as a bad actor. I liked him in The Hard Way with him and Michael J. Fox.
One of my favorites.
And did he overact? Yeah.
Overacting. Yeah.
He was nuts, right? So, I mean, him and Richard Dreyfuss remind me a lot alike. I mean, Dreyfuss.
I get it.
I mean, I loved Richard Dreyfuss in Jaws, but I loved him in What About Bob? So I mean, there's so many different aspects to him, and he was great. He was great as Bernie Madoff. Oh my God, he was great as Bernie Madoff.
He's just so goofy. He's just so goofy looking. He sold that. So a lot of his stuff.
But the funny thing is, if you need a good villain, especially in the political movie where the Republican is being viewed as a villain, make him your presidential running mate. Because he did that in the American President with Michael Douglas, and I mean, you want to talk about a guy who was the by the book Republican, and it pissed off a Democrat, no doubt, and be going, that motherfucker, let the man date, but
exactly. But
so good shit though.
Lots of I wish we could have got more opinions, from Bryce. Maybe, and we'll bring these other things up. and talk about him if and when we can get Cuervo, Bryce, or anybody else up on the show. I was glad to be back on air. Missing a week sucks. I hate it because I feel like it's been a month and it's only been 14 days in the reality.
Well,
that's so long freaking time.
You know what's funny was that this past Thursday I was supposed to have the daily grind, which I had to miss out on because I had my chiropractor
doctor appointment.
So I had to miss that. I had told Bobby I'm going to have to move OIWA Worldwide to Friday to this week because I didn't have enough time to put it all together because I didn't know how exhausted I was going to be coming home from the doctor. And it turns out that I got home and I slept until 9:04. And I got a phone call from Michael McCurdy saying, "Are we doing a show tonight or not?" So I got up. I got up at Offshoots TV, right? So I'm at the show last night, and Bobby was saying, "Let me tell you about Trey Mack. I love Trey Mack to death. Even though he had to postpone my show for a week, but he did his own damn podcast that night. It's okay." I'm like, "Well, thanks for watching."
Yeah, thanks a lot. So,
love you too, boss.
All right, man. Hopefully we'll have a full board next week. So I'm going to leave the stuff up so I can come back and talk about it next week.
Just to give everybody a heads up, next week I'm off that Sunday for my birthday, but I'll be only able to show up on these shows if they air at 9. So I have to wait. I might have to wait until you're ready to do that again, but that's also based on your schedule as well.
That just it all depends on how it goes, because I'm still kind of doing some work and not doing work, so it's one of those things. So I kind of had to adjust my schedule. Normally, I was on noon to 3 just for the last year. So now since we're kind of sporadic, we gotta figure out how it works. But I'll let you know when I know.
Yeah, or you move the trip to Saturday.
Something like that. So, all right, my man, we will talk at you, maybe soon, maybe not. We'll find out and check that out. That's going to do it for us here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. And that being said, have yourself a good rest of your day, my friend. Get some rest. All right, we're out of here, everybody. Bye-bye.